And welcome, everybody, to Fat Guys on a Little Podcast, your Saturday edition, February 1st, first one of February. I'm your co-host, Steve Markey, and always...
BV's the co-host today.
BV!
And we're hot.
Straight from the Chicagoland area himself, William Vicious. And, of course...
Your guest, Charles, is here.
Charles is the guest. He's enjoying... I
like this.
The whole
Thank
new
you for joining us today on the Fat Guys on a Little Podcast.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This is fun.
So, we're right before the
Steve's
Super Bowl.
all confused.
I know. Right before the Super Bowl, everyone's out of order. We're out of order. You're out of order. Everyone's out of order. So everything's screwing me up. I'm trying to get a handle.
Dude, we're a mess.
So we're gonna. Bill and I are gonna.
Steve can't talk. It reeks in the studio.
Before we begin, I think it's important to state that none of us can breathe. The Markey brothers are pretty damn nasty. Massive bombs in an enclosed room, and I think I'm choking.
So on today's podcast, we're going to test Mazapan, and then we're also going to talk. Bill and I are going to review the Royal Rumble, and then we're also going to preview the Super Bowl, which is happening tomorrow. If anyone's heard of that little thing, because everyone's been talking about Kobe all this week, we might have forgot about the Super Bowl.
Kobe.
Yeah, so we got a lot of things ahead of us. But first up, Bill's going to hand out some treats. These are Mazapan. Now, you hear these on, if anyone watched the show Chopped on the Food Network.
Ted Allen's Chopped, right?
Yeah. They always add this as an ingredient to, like, you have to work this into your dish, Mazapan. And my wife, Michelle, found these, and Charles dropped his.
We're just all sorts of mess. So
supposed
this
to be
is
like
the famous brand. This is De La Rosa Mazapan original. Now,
it breaks up like clay.
Very classy, individually wrapped.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very...
Where did she pick this up at now?
This was in a Mexican restaurant in Southgate. I can't think of the name of it right now. I should have
Mexican
asked you.
Fiesta or something?
Yeah, is it Mexican
not-
Gardens?
Mexican
It's brand new. It just
That's
opened.
the place
so.
that Wiggs used to want to go to like 3 times a week.
Yeah, I know.
Eureka or whatever it was.
Yeah, but no, this is a brand new place in Southgate.
It looks dry.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It broke apart like shrapnel.
It looks like Mexican Play-Doh.
Don't taste much better.
Oh.
Start with a small chunk here.
Maybe if you added this to something, maybe that's why.
That's probably why they cook with it or something.
Yeah. It's like a super dry peanut butter.
It's like a sugar cookie without the binding ingredients to bring it together.
It's like if you had like a peanut butter flavored flour.
You need to talk to Mike.
It's like if you had a peanut butter flavored flour.
BB's just talking to us. I don't think it tastes that bad. I think it tastes pretty good. You don't like the way it tastes?
I just don't like the consistency. I think it's just weird.
It's like a weird sugar cookie / peanut butter thing. I don't know.
That's not bad.
I mean, if you had a bowl of vanilla ice cream and sprinkled this across the top of it or something.
Like as a garnish or something on
Yeah.
top? I don't know.
So Mexican treat.
Or something.
If you ever hear it on Chop, Mazapan. It's like a
It
powdery
is
peanut
extremely
butter.
dry.
Yeah,
My mouth is sticking together.
it's not as moist as it was pre-show.
Moist.
Yeah. So, you know what it kind of reminds me of? Without the flakiness, the inside of a Butterfinger.
Oh yeah, but not as sticky to your teeth.
Yeah. I don't hate
It
it,
of your mouth.
but it sticks in there, man. It just gets in the jowls and works its way around.
It's very unique.
I don't hate it, though. I'd give it a thumbs up. I'll be
It's
honest.
like an oral coating agent.
Why did that sound sexual? The oral coating agent. So what do you think, Steve? I mean,
I would never buy it again. But if it's like part of something, like
what do you mean
top
part of something? Like like a garnish.
Like
on
if
top
someone
of a
made like a
sundae?
dessert with Mazapan crumbled on it of some sort, that's not bad. But to just eat a little roll of this crumbly peanut flour, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Bill, what do you thought?
I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but if you guys were handing it out again, I'd eat it.
Yeah.
It tastes fine.
Or maybe if they dipped it, like if they made a ball of it and dipped it in chocolate.
Dude.
The question now is what to do with the rest of this, how to eat this without making a giant mess.
Just tilt your head back. Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, baby. Take it to the head, son.
Come on now.
Professional folks. Don't try this at home.
As you can tell, I'm not new to this.
So, Mazapan, Charles, a big thumbs up.
I give it a thumbs up.
I would eat if it's part of something else, but I don't think I'd buy a package of Mazapan.
Still a thumbs up, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like other things we've had on the podcast where we took a bite
Oh, it's not terrible by any stretch. Just leave it on the desk behind you.
By the way, Gary on Facebook, Men on the Move, Gary
Bolson.
He tagged us in something. They now have habanero peeps.
I hate Peeps.
I know that's
Marshmallows.
Habanero peeps.
Yes, they're bright red. They're habanero.
disgusting.
And we got to find those, Charles.
I don't like Peeps, man. I'm
That
not down
make
with
it
the
so
marshmallow.
funny to
Peeps
watch
are
you eat
nasty.
it, though.
Is that like a sick joke or something? Like what?
No, some company put them out.
Well, the Peep company, because only Peeps make Peeps, right?
I don't know. I don't know the peeps.
It's like a
It's
knockoff
like a
Peep.
generically flavored.
Yeah. Marshmallow treat shaped as chicken or chicky.
It tastes like jalapenos and habanero. Oh, that's got to be disgusting.
Oh, man.
So that's
yeah, I
something.
give Mazapan a thumbs up. I don't know. I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Half thumbs up.
BB, that's
Thumbs
2.5 thumbs is what it just got. Steve's half a thumb.
Half a thumb. So this week, because I don't know why, but neither one of us saw a lot of movies this
No,
week, right?
we did a lot last week, though.
Yeah, and I went to Family Video and half the movies weren't in at the day I needed them, so I did get to check out. Now, are you guys familiar with the show Arrow?
I'm aware of it. It's a crappy CW show that you won't let go of.
Yeah. Well, I only watched the first 3 seasons and I quit watching.
Oh.
It's 8. The 8th and final season is what happened.
Just the first 3 seasons.
Well, I didn't watch all 8 seasons.
It was only 60 episodes, and I cut it off.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done with you.
He exercised some restraint, didn't he?
Well, the series came to an end recently, and I wanted to see how it ended, so I wanted to watch the last episode.
Did you know what was going on, having missed so much?
I knew mostly. There's some things I didn't know. But it didn't matter. That's not the episode you needed to see. He didn't die in the last episode of Arrow. Oh, sorry, spoilers. He dies in this big crossover. That's the Crisis on Infinity Earths, where it crosses over all the shows. So
Okay,
I had to
wait.
watch.
So all those crappy DC CW shows
Yes.
ran a crossover event?
Yes, where all of them were in it.
Okay, did they up the budget? 'Cause-
No.
Yeah, that's the
Holly
problem.
walked in the room and goes, "Oh my god, it looked like Power Rangers."
Yeah,
from the 90s.
that's what I'm saying.
So they didn't up the budget, and it's 5 episodes. So I just sit through 5 episodes of that, and then the final episode of Arrow. 6 hours of my life on the CW app is where I
Yeah.
saw it. By the way, nice app, works pretty good. But
So you didn't catch this live on the C-Dub?
No, I did not. No. And he dies, and he gets special powers, and before he dies, he restores the universe. And the only thing funny about it all, and we're not going to dwell on because you guys aren't going to know, it's deep dive comic, this storyline. You got to be a really
BB's way into
BB would be out in 2 seconds. You'd
I was
be
out
out
when
in
you
3
started.
seconds. Yeah. But he dies, right? But he has these magical powers before he dies. And he reset every major story point from the show.
So they just reset the whole series?
Yeah. So, like, his mom died in season 1, he brings her back to life. His best friend died in season 1, brings her back to life. So that you watch that whole show for no apparent reason.
Do they just assume that, like, millennials can't handle adversity at this point? So every series that we're watching, when they actually do anything, they just immediately, they reset it all. They're just like, oh, no.
Yeah, like there'll be some kind of outrage or something.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't know, but that's what they did at the series finale of Arrow. They pretty much reset every major story point from the show. And I thought, wow, was that a cheap ripoff? And but if you're into comics and deep dive DC, the Crisis it's low budget.
The problem is the budget. I think that's the problem.
And they had this dude playing Superman. He looked like he was about Gabe's size. I don't know.
They have a CW Superman show right now?
No.
What about Smallville?
That was canceled like 10 years ago.
Oh.
It ended, actually. It went 10 seasons. No, they got a new one.
They only watched 7 of those and cut it off.
I didn't watch any of Smallville.
He exercised some restraint.
Yeah.
Smallville was weird because it was a Superman show, but he was not allowed to be Superman in it, if that makes any sense.
It was all leading up to, right?
Yeah, so I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to watch a Superman show with no Superman, so I was like, I'm good. But there is a new Superman show coming, allegedly, with this same guy, and he's tiny. He's like probably a little bit smaller than Dean Cain was when he was Superman. And you know how small he was, so I don't know. But there you go. It's CW. It's on the app if you guys are interested.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know. I thought that all those shows got canceled. I thought
no, that's the only thing on CW.
Well, but
the
I thought that
Supernatural is stopped now.
Supernatural's done this season. It's
Yeah.
not. It's airing currently. I know this from Heather.
They got Riverdale and about 22 DC shows is what they have.
But I thought that DC app. I thought that all that crap went on the DC app. I thought the only DC shows were on the app now.
No. Titans and Doom Patrol are on the DC streaming service. All the rest are still on CW.
DC Comics, okay.
BB, I know.
I'm sorry, man.
Hey, listen, I know this is deep dive, but this is what I watch.
Bergeron's already tuning out.
Yeah,
we gotta
Bergeron's
stop
pissed.
talking.
He wants me to take calls right
Well,
now.
no, we're talking about comics, so he's probably kind of into it because he watches all those crappy shoot movies.
Yeah, but it's not worth you watching. I just told you what happened. He reset the whole series. I saved everyone 6 hours of their lives. So there you go. And someone's watching those shows. That's the only thing on CW that airs. So
because you nerds, I'm one of the nerds, but I'm saying like you comic book nerds can't get enough of these shows. You guys are willing to watch like all these random offbeat characters that are shitty that they make this. Like what is the two that were on Netflix? Luke Cage, a shitty show.
Jessica Jones.
You guys all like. Well, I just
Iron
need
Fist.
some content. It's like they all suck.
Yeah, Daredevil and Punisher were the only two good ones.
Yeah,
and they were the most well-known characters. The other ones were like,
the rest of them are all obscure.
Yeah, so there you go. Now you mentioned Sudden Strike 4 last week. I did play it, and I didn't get a chance.
But hold on. So this is your World War II RTS game you bought randomly to fill a hole.
Yeah. So RTS is real-time strategy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask, what is RTS?
Real-time strategy. Basically,
you control a big map and small squadrons over a big map.
Yeah, and it's World War II based. So you get to be the Germans, the British, the Americans, or why am I going blank? Germans, British, American, or Russians. I couldn't think of Russians for a minute. And there's like 10 campaign missions for each country.
So they set you up like in the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
You got to go.
And you're looking down on a map, and the guys are like this big, and you control them, tell them to go
But
here.
then the problem is that you click out ready.
Yeah, it's just
Clicking, ready to go, rolling out.
Yeah.
Out. They all those RTS.
Commandant is what they call it. I was German.
Commandant.
Yes, Commandant.
Yeah.
No, Commandant. I was like, I'm so tired of hearing that after about 20 minutes.
All those games are so repetitive.
Sound like that song, Der Kommissar? No?
What song is that?
Der Kommissar by After the Fire. It's an 80s song.
Sing some of it.
No. Remember that Don't Turn Around. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Never mind.
I think I know it. But I got the game off of Amazon for $30.
I want BB to sing.
The game's okay, but it's on console, so it's a little harder to control. It'd probably be better on the PC. It's on Steam as well.
It's probably better, definitely on the Windows.
Yeah, Windows Steam is much better. Xbox controller is a little tricky, highlighting all the guys. But it's like any real-time strategy. You just end up clicking a blob of dudes.
But did they finally improve the graphics of those World War II RTSs? Or
they
not
look
so
nice,
much?
but you can't zoom in.
Did it look okay?
Yeah, it looked like Command and Conquer did.
Okay.
I don't know. Did you like Command and Conquer?
Yeah, I mean they were okay looking.
That's what this game feels a lot like. It's a real life Command and Conquer. Yeah. So you're just it's just a blob of troops. You just move from place to place, and when they get wiped out, you grab another blob of troops and move them around. And it's okay. I mean, it's no Axis and Allies. That's what I want.
BB, lean up and give me some Long Branch off the top shelf there. Some Matthew McConaughey liquor that we have. It's been sitting up there forever.
Oh, man, Long Branch.
Yeah.
Well, you did ride in a Lincoln.
Yeah, so we're going to do full McConaughey today.
So there you go. Sudden Strike, if you're really into real-time strategy, you probably should buy it on Steam, but it's okay.
Be cooler if you did.
Now, Charles, you watched an old show.
Yeah, so we were just talking about how one of my things that I was remiss that I screwed up in 2019 was The Afterlife, the Ricky Gervais show. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where when he was on the Golden Globes and he kind of trashed everyone, I love Ricky Gervais. I love his type of comedy and so when he was on the OG Office and stuff like that, he's just for some reason his sarcastic smartass version of comedy just really tickles me in some way. I find him hilarious. So this was a BBC show that they in turn brought over and then aired on HBO many years ago, 2006. So he plays along with one of his best friend's girl, or a girl best friend of his. He's basically an extra in TV shows and movies, and it's kind of his life. But of course, he's got enemies. It kind of Curb Your Enthusiasm a little bit, with the kind of vibe. He's definitely put into situations to then give you his 2 cents, kind of like your Larry Davids and stuff like that. I thought the show was really funny. And like I said, I'm a little skewed on the basis of I just find Ricky Gervais just super hilarious to me. And it's one of those things. Are you a fan of Ricky Gervais, BB? You like him at all?
What little I've seen of him.
Yeah, he's really funny, man. he's just got a funny way about him. And the show's it's one of those Britishy shows too that only has like 6 episodes a season. I caught it. They actually have both seasons of it on Netflix. So that's how I was watching it. I thought I had to watch it through the HBO Go app, but it's actually on Netflix. So I'm a real big fan of Ricky Gervais, and like I said, I'm just trying to watch like all the rest of them. He just does certain funny things, like he's trying to be like a dick, and like he tries to hit on a chick and have his friend kind of come up and ask for an autograph in the middle of it, and like the friend just screws it up all the time, and he gets like called out on it. It's really funny, but like you said, it definitely has a Curb vibe to it, is what I would say.
It's weird with those BBC shows. They always have weird seasons. Like, I watched Sherlock Holmes with Cumberbatch and stuff. It's only like 3 episodes a season. But the episodes were an hour and a half long.
This stuff didn't get any better in the time it's sat.
Well, give it to Bill. Bill likes it. So extras.
Salute to your Lincoln. Ooh,
now, also, what I played this week was Mortal Kombat had the Joker DLC. DLC is downloadable content.
Thank you. So BB's the rest of the audience go, what are these 2 idiots talking about?
I bought a pass.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I bought a pass last year because I love Mortal Kombat. I love the Injustice games. It's like $24. And then, so any new free character comes out, I get them automatically. I like the Joker a lot. They did. The cool thing about it is they gave you a bunch of free costumes for the other characters. So like,
so you got like multiple skins for Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
And the skins make them look like DC characters. Like the one makes Baraka look like Killer Croc from Batman and stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of like a little cross between.
How much did you pay for that DLC?
It was $24 back a year ago.
But that was that was all the season.
It's called the Combat Pack or something. It's called. So I get Spawn next month. He's the one everyone's been wanting, and of course they made him go last.
Yeah.
Joker's kind of shown up in a lot of games, so he's not the freshest a character, but they did a nice job. Like one of his moves, he pulls out a puppet of Batman that has a gun in it. He starts popping people with it.
What version of the Joker do you get?
He looks more like a comic version mixed with a little bit of Heath Ledger.
Okay.
Like his red face.
A little quirky, a little bit.
He cuts his hand, uses his own blood to make the red face on his face. So it's a comic version, but a little darker. So I liked it a lot. A lot of people have been giving thumbs up to it. Everyone at first when it was announced, like another Joker, but actually it turned out really well. And I thought the costumes were a cool little addition on it as well. So that's all we have for reviews this week. Like I said, not a lot of movies. Going to work on Mother's Brooklyn and Harriet for next week, and then Charles is going to watch that weird Parasite movie.
Yeah,
I am not going to watch that.
Yeah, and then there's some random shows and stuff like that. But yeah, been kind of a slow week.
Yeah,
it's that big ramp up to our holiday season in the Super Bowl.
I was just saying, what holiday? So, Bill, what's happening tomorrow? Is that the Super Bowl?
I think so, but I'm not sure because I think it might just be more extended Kobe coverage.
What are your thoughts, Bill? Preview the Super Bowl for us. What do you think?
Well, hold on. So what he's touching on is we talked about it in pre-show. I wanted to bring it up here, and that's what Steve's trying to. You have some definite thoughts about like usually the 2 weeks leading up to, because they play the championship games 2 weeks before the actual game. Usually you get a ton of media coverage, but due to recent events that happened in California where Kobe lost his life unexpectedly, to your point, he's kind of hijacked all the coverage, just completely gone away.
Not that you can really blame Kobe. I mean,
I'm not
sure
saying
he didn't want to die,
but it's the media.
Yeah, no. The thing is, it's sort of almost the Super Bowl is almost like an afterthought at this point, and inadvertently it's going to take away from the build-up, and so in a lot of ways, it doesn't really feel like the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
not a whole lot of build-up, but should still be a really good game.
Let me ask a question though too. Do you guys think that there's less build-up because this outcome in the Niners versus the Chiefs isn't that unexpected? You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that has something to do with it too. Like, it's not like you get like kind of random teams. These were both close to top seeds in both conferences and stuff like that. But arguably the two best teams in football this past year. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that had something to do with it too.
Well, you could argue. Who was in it last year? There was New England and what are we all going?
Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Rams.
And those were the two top teams, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, maybe it could be that except for Mahomes, and he's still kind of new to this, and other than the fact that he's getting a lot of accolades for his laser rocket arm
by Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, but there's not really the marquee. I mean, these are top teams. They're not really the marquee names marquee teams. You don't have the Patriots. There's no Tom Brady. There's no Belichick. There's no, the characters aren't there.
No Aaron Rodgers.
They're just two good teams that are going to play in the Super Bowl, and there's not a whole lot of star value to the game.
Do you think? Let me ask the question for you both here. Do you think this game tomorrow that we're going to watch, will this answer any questions for the 2019-2020 season? I think it will. I mean, there's no questions left as to who's going to be the best team in the NFL, I think.
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is, I'm saying from a college football angle where you could always poke holes. I think that this is, like I said, this is right by who's there and all that. You know what I mean?
Well, the nice thing about NFL, there's no questioning it.
Yeah.
You got bounced in the playoffs just because you screwed up.
But if this was Tennessee versus the Niners, you'd always have to say, kind of what if. You
what
know
if
what I
it was
mean?
the Chiefs? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So the game starts at 6:30 tomorrow, and pregame starts, like I said, at 5 a.m.
Yeah. In fact, the coverage starts in 22 minutes.
Yeah. Terry Bradshaw right now is in his underwear out behind the desk somewhere ready to do his show, which is ridiculous. Why aren't they starting it at 4? Why 6:30? They know everyone's got to work Monday morning, right?
Yeah,
Except for BV.
I think that it comes down to the other markets, though, doesn't it? I mean, it ultimately comes down to the West Coast.
They need to get full primetime coverage across the U.S.
Yeah, that's what I think
it's prime advertising dollar.
There's something crazy like the advertising. So I've read 2 articles. The advertising is the record setting, and then also ticket prices are record setting this year too.
They're really ridiculous.
Like 10 G's for you know what I mean, just to get in.
The cheapest ticket is something like
it's crazy, man.
$7,000 or something like that.
It's crazy.
The other thing too is I think historically the Monday after the Super Bowl is by far the highest rate of call-offs from work.
You working Monday after the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm working.
Do you want Randy to know right now?
Be quiet.
So you're not doing the patented old school call-off?
No.
I'm always off on Mondays, and then you said you took that day
just
off
plan
too.
ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't plan.
Well, I'm not going to get in the car and drive back to
because I mean,
Illinois
it probably
and go to work in the
won't
morning.
end till what? I mean, you got to think 11 o'clock is what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's
Another
crazy.
hour to watch all the idiots get the awards and the ticker tape and Terry Bradshaw fumble with the mic and talking to people on the field.
Is it on Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fox has got it this year.
So the game opened up with Chiefs favored by 1.5. Do you guys like that line, or do you think?
I think it's a really, because I think it's, as I talk to people, when I can get past the Kobe conversation and actually talk to people about the Super Bowl, you do get like a 50-50. It is kind of a pick'em game. I think it really is. I don't think, because you can make cases for either one of the teams to win. You really can. I think that a lot of people, and I think the 3 of us sitting in this room, have a big nostalgia vote coming in with the Andy Reid situation. The only problem is with that nostalgia vote, you got to give props to Patrick Mahomes, and then that kind of, it's like, I don't know what to do.
You guys really don't like Mahomes, do you?
It's not Mahomes' fault, I would argue. Yeah. I think it's the media has anointed him the next great quarterback.
He's got 97 Red Wing-itis. Where it's not the team; it's all the assholes blowing him.
Yeah,
he seems like a pretty, good, humble kid.
He's like I said, I'm not here to say that it's his fault. It's mostly Chris Collinsworth that I'm going to blame in this scenario.
Oh yeah, God, Chris Collinsworth.
Oh my God, it's just
he likes curly hair.
Rocket arm Mahomes. That's all I kept saying every other second, every time.
The problem is on the reverse of it, the Niners are a good team.
Yeah, see, part of me wants that old school team to win.
Yeah, there was someone on ESPN radio the first week before Kobe passed.
When you could actually get covered.
That had asked the question, we know it's a small sample size, only 2 years of playing, but is Mahomes already the best quarterback in the history of the game? Like
history?
Is he already
of the game?
Is he already better in the eye test than any quarterback you've ever seen?
To who did they ask this question to?
They just asked it in a radio show. Basically, for the people to
come in and tell,
it was
and people were actually considering this.
People were saying, well, he makes throws and plays that other quarterbacks never make.
That is
not true.
That's an unbelievable statement.
Like him.
And it's also
he
to me
does it more
selling
consistently than Vic, though.
But it's also selling short.
But Vic ran a lot better.
Andy Reid is one of the best minds in the game. I mean.
It doesn't hurt that they have 2 of the fastest players in the NFL at wide receiver, too.
Also, you chuck it deep and go get it. Yeah, that is a crazy statement in 2020, dude. I'm just telling you, that's way too early for that.
So with the over-under at 54, you guys like the over or the under? Which one?
I like the over. I mean, look at the Chiefs' record. I mean, but the problem is, to your point, I'm sure you're going to come back and say, well, the way that the Niners play football, there's not a lot of clock.
Yeah, but the Niners look at that game against New Orleans. It was, what was it, 40-38 or something?
On its face, it seems like it should be an over, but this game could go a bunch of different ways, and it's
so register an opinion, BV. God damn it!
I'm picking the under.
Oh, okay. Oh. Steve, what do you got?
I like the over.
I like the over.
Because even if one blows the other one out, the one that's going to blow them out is still going to score 40-something. Yeah. And the other one's going to score 14 or 15.
And the problem is with the Niners winning, as I realize, Bosa is going to win a championship.
That is the only downside of the Niners.
It's kind of like the Mahomes.
There's more than that. But.
Yeah.
I hate Bosa more than Mahomes, though.
Yeah.
But so let's get to it here. What team do you like, Bill? Who you like? What's your prediction on the score?
Are we factoring in are we saying the Chiefs to cover or whatever?
Well, I guess you could.
I guess it's pretty much a pick 'em.
Or just because you're in score, it'll kind of tell us who you're thinking.
I want to see the Chiefs win. You're talking about the nostalgia with Andy Reid and whatnot, and they're fun to watch. But it's just history kind of tells me, and I go back to the years, like even with Buffalo, I take that Super Bowl 25 with the Giants, where when you have a physical team with a good defense and a good running game, and when they take on one of those prolific offenses, it always seems to be the defense and the running game that ends up taking control and slows the game down and makes it a lot less the kind of game you expect. I hate that because I really just have never liked San Francisco for any reason at any time. I kind of think San Francisco wins this one. I would say 27-23.
Wow, that's pretty close.
That'd be a good game. I admit, I'd like to watch that game. I don't think that's the game we're going to get. I
hope not.
I think it's going to be a little more ones. I think it's like 38-21 Kansas City. I don't think it's as close as it's going to is. I don't think we're going to get much of a good game. Is what I'm trying to say. And then, quite frankly, like I said, I don't think they can catch that running lightning in the bottle that they had last time they played too. The guy what's even the guy's name at this point? The guy that ran like a madman last time versus Green Bay.
Talking about Raheem Mostert or Coleman?
Yeah.
They got like a 300 burrito.
Yeah. Well, the one ripped his shoulder out, so is he going to be back for the game?
No, Coleman won't be.
Yeah.
No, I don't think
so.
But the other two,
he was the change of pace guy anyway.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
And I told you before, I've seen it so many times with John Elway back in the day. He had the number one offense, and he goes to Super Bowl and gets destroyed. I saw it with Peyton Manning with the number one offense. He went to Super Bowl, got destroyed. I think it's going to be a lot like Seattle and in Denver. I don't know why. I just feel it. 45-12, San Francisco.
45-12?
Wow. That way I win a square.
To 12.
I don't know. I just have this weird feel. I hope I'm wrong because I want the Chiefs to win.
It's not a very entertaining game.
No.
I'll tell you that.
We're going to be watching the Mr. Peanut commercial.
First of all, I don't want that because I don't want you to win a square number one.
I
also don't want to see that game.
Yeah, the other thing, too, though, one thing that I would disagree with here is that if it is going to be a blowout with that kind of a score, it's more likely to be the other way around. San Francisco doesn't have the offense. It's going to put up 45 points.
Well, they scored 40 a couple times.
Not unless they get a couple defensive touchdowns. Yeah, but New Orleans, Kansas City's got a better defense at this point. And, their offense isn't going to – they're not prone to those kind of lapses. And I think if you saw the blowout with San Francisco, it would be more likely to be like a 36-8 kind of thing, which I think was close to what that score was in the game you're talking about with Denver and Seattle.
But then Steve doesn't win a square.
I got to win a square.
You know what, though?
It's going to be 35-8.
You historically,
I got a 5 all over the place.
I don't know how this is because your luck is crap for pretty much everything else, but you tend to win squares in the Super Bowl. And
I didn't last year, though.
You're like the only one that I ever hear of that wins squares.
Joe used to, but Joe would play 37 of them.
You deserve to lose, I think is what I'm saying.
It's a year that the universe writes itself.
You guys are pricks.
It's time for the Super Bowl squares man to step in
and
oppress you like he does everybody else.
I'll have the score until a minute left, and then someone will score. And I'm like, God damn.
The only one that's calling for a good game, it sounds like, is BV.
Yeah.
Me and you are kind of saying how lopsided in either direction.
Yeah. I hope it's good. And I hope the Chiefs win, but something tells me we've seen it so many times where a high-powered AFC team that should just dominate goes in and just gets ass raped. Yeah, we've seen it.
And I don't have a good reason for it, but for some reason I just don't like Garoppolo.
He's too pretty. He's taking all your bitches.
Because he dates porn stars?
It's not that. He's like Tony Romo Jr.
But he's already in the Super Bowl, so you can't apply the Romo
it's like
rule.
the same school, same kind of went and sat the bench forever. I don't know. It's not that he's too pretty.
Don't take your bitches.
I just don't get into him.
All right. So now the most important thing about the Super Bowl, though, is what does everyone think about the halftime?
So, we talked about pre-show. I think that both J-Lo and Shakira both wear an 8/24 jersey. I think you're both correct in that assessment.
Yeah. There's a Kobe jersey.
Who sings the national anthem? Demi Lovato?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Demi Lovato. Hot, crazy, on drugs.
Yeah,
on drugs.
She's
clean right now, but she does like the China White.
Check her arms while she's singing.
Yeah, I don't know. She is an attractive young lady.
She might do it between the toes.
I'll be honest. Out of that three, who do you like?
Give me J-Lo.
J-Lo for Steve. I'm taking Demi.
Like what?
BB, who do you got?
You get Shakira.
I'm talking about a lovely young woman. Who would you like?
Well, J-Lo's not young.
Lovato, and it's not
so
close.
That's two Lovatos to one J-Lo. J-Lo's an amazing, but she's like, first of all, she has 8 husbands, and she's 75 years old.
She's crazy.
I never liked
But that
her
kid's
either.
so Demi Lovato.
Yeah, that's true.
I never liked her either.
Who?
J-Lo.
Oh, she's attractive. I'm not here to.
She's attractive.
Oh, she is smoking
She just annoys
hot.
me.
Yeah,
She's old though, man.
Her movies, TV shows, and music is terrible, but she's
Yeah,
attractive.
and I have no interest in watching the halftime show.
Yeah.
Well, because they get a whole. Now you brought up an interesting, like a hedge bet or whatever, that you question whether or not she would show butt crack.
Yeah, I heard that was. Some people were putting up prop bets for that.
Prop bets.
Like,
I think they're going to shake their asses, but I don't think they'll be in thongs or anything. They'll probably have like skin tight pants on.
To Charles's point, I think that at this point the agreements that have they're in
There's
place.
so much.
I would imagine that if they did some sort of like wardrobe malfunction or something like that, they would probably forfeit most, if not all, of what they're being paid to do it.
Yeah.
And there could be other
There's
ramifications.
too much. Ever since with this post Janet Jackson world that we live in, there's just no way.
Yeah, I would imagine there's probably some sort of indemnification against losses that the NFL would take. Too much risk now, and there'd be too much of a.
Look at BB.
Yeah, the lawyers speak come out. You see that?
Sorry, yeah,
He's
yeah,
like, indemnification.
the publicity they'd
You've
get out
been
of it.
lawyers.
Yeah,
I know.
the publicity
Hashtag
they'd get out of
lawyer.
it wouldn't be worth the risks that they'd take on by doing it.
Plus, J-Lo had a chance to show some skin if she really wanted to in that movie and didn't. So why would I assume
and she's
she
never
would do
really
it?
been the type that's done that either. I think maybe
she's protecting the
I
brand.
would say Shakira would be more likely to show something than J-Lo would.
But is anyone looking to see Shakira though? I mean, I'd watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
Half of Mexico, probably.
isn't she like Brazilian or something?
I don't know.
South America.
Oh.
That's what loves her.
Mexico's not in South America. It's in North America. It's not even Central America. It's North America.
Right? Anything below Texas.
You realize that we have like an entire southern border with Mexico. It's
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
It's a whole third world nation.
like
Oh my God,
Mexico,
Trump over
North
here.
America
Look at
here,
Trump.
South America,
Mexico and
Way down
Mississippi,
here.
they can go to the same
far away
place.
from Mexico.
it's all the same.
Wow.
They
Anyway,
all speak Spanish.
I know we'll watch it here. We're all going to watch it here in my house and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully we all smell a lot better than we do right down today.
Speak for yourself. I haven't busted any ass at all.
Congratulations. But I'm not looking forward to it. It's been a few years. I can't think of what the best halftime show would be.
Oh, the halftime.
As far as I'm concerned, we could put on Puppy.
Puppy
Bowl at halftime.
You
or
got to
whatever.
watch the halftime so you could. It's just
I
out of
guess.
so. I think the last good one to me was like the Prince one was
Yeah,
really good.
I like the one
like
a
the
lot.
Prince one.
I mean,
You guys
I'm
got any
I'm a
other?
big Prince fan, so I like
Yeah,
that
that
a
was
lot.
good.
But it was
I
good.
like the shark in the Katy Perry one that didn't know what it was doing.
I like the
You
fact
like
that
bad choreography?
I like it became a meme afterwards.
I like that Katy Perry's smoking hot, but other than
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
same
She
thing.
is an attractive
Like,
young lady.
I guess if we were going to watch this, we could just mute it. And watch it. I don't think.
But
I'd
then we got to
recognize-
watch and listen and comment on how bad she's going to lip sync and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
how much her lips.
I
are
don't think
bad,
I'd
is it?
recognize more than maybe 2 songs.
You might recognize a lot of.
I think
J-Los.
there's probably going to be. We're going to recognize more
You
than we
think she's
realize.
gonna?
You know,
I would hope
hips
she
don't
was
gonna
lie.
medley.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
that would be the only one I know from Shakira. But then with J-Lo, I would
Didn't
hope
Shakira have
she's
another
only-
one about a wolf or a she-wolf or something?
I'm sure we're going to recognize a lot of those
Yeah,
songs.
I would just figure that J-Lo probably put all her stuff out. From
And
the
they're going to
90s
bring out
or
a
whatever.
guest. Oh, but over under. What are the odds? It's where is it? Is it in Miami?
It's in Miami.
Yeah, Pitbull shows up, right?
Yeah.
It's like a
Pitbull and
requirement.
Mark Anthony.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, not Mark Anthony. That's an ex-husband, so I don't know.
They're all cool.
They're on good terms.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
okay.
But I guarantee Pitbull shows up in that show somewhere.
Maybe Rick Ross or something.
Rick Ross?
Rick Ross. Oh man. Or DJ Khaled will show up somewhere. He's always in there.
DJ Khaled.
You mean Khaled?
Khaled, the West End.
Khaled.
Khaled, whatever.
Steve is so hip.
Yeah, I am. I really am.
Yeah, I don't know. So looking at the Super Bowl between the game and the halftime, what are you going to give it pre-show out of 10? What do you think for the Super Bowl? What do you got, Steve?
What do you mean?
Like the whole, as an entertainment for our end of our football year.
It's going to be a 5.
You think it's going to be a 5?
I don't think it's going to be
We're
a
going to
good
wrap
game.
in commercials with it, too. The commercials, the game, the
I already
halftime.
heard
You
some
think it's
of
going
the
to be a
commercials.
5?
The commercials haven't been good in years.
Yes, this is true.
I don't know.
supposed to be
Many of the
what
good
happened.
ones always
It's
show up
supposed to be a
early.
really good Walmart one.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you think out of 10, BB, that we're looking at?
You know what? If we get lucky enough to get a phenomenal game, maybe a 6 or 7, but otherwise probably a 4.
I think I'm closer to you. I think it's like a 4 is what I think we're going to get. I don't think the game's going to be as close as
And
you're
if the
predicting.
game's not, if it's not a really good game, then it's going to be a pretty lackluster overall, I think.
Yeah. So,
I'll just be cheering for my squares.
great. We got that to look forward to tomorrow, BB.
You're going to hear those paper shuffling in
Oh,
that corner.
Jesus. The end of the quarter annoyance.
I have squares too. I just have to get them. I don't know.
Oh, see? Oh, he's on the dark side, too.
Someone with the wife's work did it, so we have like 4 squares. I just don't know what they are yet.
What are some of the monetary amounts you guys could win in these squares? What do you got?
I get $5 squares. What are those? Usually $120.
Look at BB. What's a $5
So
square?
I don't run squares. I have no
I
idea.
think $5 squares is about $125. $10 squares is about $250 a quarter.
Doesn't like have to do with how many people play and
Yeah, but usually with squares,
are all the
they
squares
they all
full?
sell. Yeah.
I have no idea.
And then like $2 squares, I think, are $50 a quarter.
The ones we're playing are $10 each.
You're
which
probably,
is
you're
four-
probably
50
get,
by
you probably get
Steve's math.
$250 a quarter,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Well,
Usually is what they pay out. Some
we'll
people
probably
change
not
it up.
come close to winning any of them, and we'll get absolutely nothing. I will have wasted $40 for no reason.
Make sure you tip whoever gave you the opportunity.
That
I ain't
reminds me.
tipping Bert nothing.
That reminds me. I have some
man.
scratch offs in my car from like Thanksgiving where I won like $50 in
Oh, look
scratch
at
offs.
that.
I
Nice.
just remember to turn those in.
In your current car, you moved them into the next car.
Well, I forgot to take them back with me at Christmas.
Oh.
And so I had them in my office at home, and Abby reminded me to bring them with me, so I took them and stuck them in the visor of the car.
Oh, there you go.
I just have to remember now to.
So they're Michigan lottos, not Illinois. Yeah.
I just have to remember to turn them in here.
There you go.
All right. So there's a look at the Super Bowl. Everyone have fun at their parties tomorrow. Their
Yeah, we're gonna
their
eat
food
like a
of choice.
mug.
Pizza is the food of choice here. I don't know how it is over there.
Remember, party responsibly. Don't drive. And
Yeah, I don't think any of us. I'm not drinking tomorrow. Are you drinking?
Just a little bit of McConaughey juice.
Nah, we're not really that big partiers these days. But I saved my proper 12 for more important.
You got to cheer on the old Irishman.
I hear Red Dog's making a comeback, though.
Oh, I don't know. Get
Is
some
it
Red
really?
Dog. I'll get some Red Dog. So now let's go to the next show that was almost as big as the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl of Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, well, that would probably be WrestleMania. But last week, on the WWE Network, and I believe my friend here, Bill, watched it too, the WWE pay-per-view Royal Rumble. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. What
This
we thought
kicks
of it.
off the proper season to your guys'
To me,
point.
yes.
You guys have
This
said.
is the beginning of the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah. So from now till April, wrestling's okay. And then after that, it's terrible. But it's still kind of terrible.
No, it's not really okay anymore.
I know.
It's-
Well,
It never
used-
hits that
it used
okay
to be.
No.
But I will say this pay-per-view wasn't that
You know,
bad.
that conversation we had over Skype the other day about things not holding up.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. If we went back to the Attitude Era and watched, like you said, 5 episodes in a row, they'd probably be really lacking from what we remember.
I didn't tell you about that, did I? So I was thinking we both had the WWE Network, and I told Gabe about this too.
Yeah.
The three of us might go back, pick a month, like 1999 November, and watch the whole month's Raws.
So those are all archived on the network?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think they hold up as good in real life as we think in our heads. Because if you remember old Raws, they'd have the promo in the beginning, and then the main event would have like Rock or Austin, and then you had a bunch of crap in between. So, but
I would take that challenge. I think it's way better than that current product.
but still holding up though, because
still intrigued to continue on that journey.
I think what it is that when we look back at it now, we look at it from the context of a handful of
great
runs of all time, as like Rock, Austin, Triple H, Shawn Michaels,
DX,
so on,
all that,
and we remember the shows for those segments and those
like
wrestlers.
Austin has the
and we
beer
leave
truck and
out
stuff like
all
that.
these people you mentioned, like Steve Blackman, who
Al
was like Al Snow, and just guys that were kind of average and had no charisma. And
they filled up most of those shows.
And the problem is that looking at it in that lens,
I think you guys are.
Looking
I think it's gonna be better than you realize.
Well, but looking at it now,
that's
from,
my 2 cents.
As we look at wrestling now from like the middle-aged, male perspective, it's sort of like, in a lot of ways,
it's how like
the best of the best now is only a little bit better than the run-of-the-mill average stuff back then. And so this is already not holding up now. I mean, the product it probably wasn't as good as we remember it. And
it's kind of like how we said how people all of a sudden like the Star Wars prequels. It's based on where you were when you saw them.
And a lot of it, I think we could come up with a lot of different reasons why it's that
but
way.
Let me ask the question, though. So here, with your theory, though.
What's his theory?
Well, no, I'm just talking about like. But what I'm saying is, so everyone sitting in this room came through the '80s and the Hulk era and the Hulk, you know what I mean, into the Attitude Era. The problem was there's no next era after the Attitude Era.
Well,
so
it's called the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
And it's called awful, is what I'm trying to say.
They called it the PG era.
And that kind of became like the John Cena era.
That's what I'm trying to say. So, like, to your point, like, we're endeared to that Raw era, but we also are endeared to the 80s era, too. You can make the same argument. I don't think that 80s era, could hold, but it's still leaps and bounds better than that current product.
But the 80s had a more of an excuse. The 80s era wouldn't hold up because you didn't have this. You didn't have the same access to shows. You didn't have live shows. You just had like the Saturday Superstars and Sunday whatever it was, and you had to watch basically, months and months of squash matches. And if you got lucky, you would get one Saturday night's main event every like 3 or 4 months.
It'd be like Hogan and Orndorff for the Moondogs.
And if you couldn't get your parents to take you to closed circuit television, you could never watch any of the big cards. You had to hear about it afterwards. That's like when you listen to or watch Superstars on a Saturday and, let's show you footage of when Tito Santana lost the Intercontinental Championship to Greg Valentine in Madison Square Garden last Friday afternoon or whatever. And they show like a little clip of it, and you just hear about a title changing afterwards. Now everything's in real time, and you have so much saturation of the people.
I just think that there's been 2 good eras of wrestling. This current one is so leap.
Well, I'm not arguing that
it's so bad. You're just saying that. I know what you're saying. The Attitude Era isn't as great as
in all our minds. The Attitude Era, every episode of Raw was an 8 or 9.
I get you.
Well, I think they're probably most of them are 6 or 7.
We're probably 20% of it was an 8 or a 9.
Yeah,
and the other 80% was probably more like a 4 to 6.
Yeah,
but that still averages, let's say, a 6 or a 7, whereas the current product is going to average a 3 or a 4.
Well, yeah, because I think the ceiling for most of it now is probably 7.
Yeah,
and that's the top,
the most entertaining match you'll get.
There's so many reasons for that. Like, I think in ring, these guys they do a lot more. They're more athletic. They do things, but
it doesn't necessarily translate to a better
because
product.
of the way things are now, and I don't want to get into this whole lecture about the way it's changed, but these guys don't get to develop and build characters. They get developed in a in a training facility down
they
south.
got to follow a script.
Yeah, and then they come in and they never actually learn how to do their own promos or how to speak. They basically just have 40 writers that give them go memorize this and get out and say it. And half the time when you see them talk, you can tell that they're, it's like they're some kid that's sitting there in speech class trying to remember their speech, by heart, and they end up screwing up and whatnot. And then they get sort of the way it's changed from building stars to building the overall show. They don't let them get to be, and so it's just you're not going to see those people build you won't see a Rock on the mic probably ever again. Until Vince
tell
is
you
gone.
this though, I'm convinced that the experiment is definitely worth it for the 3 of you.
Yeah,
because I'm intrigued to hear what you guys would say. You know what I mean?
One major advantage the '90s has is the show was only 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's number 1. Number 2, you also had WCW, so that meant when you watch Raw. When someone came over from WCW, that's excitement right there. Like when Jericho first came over, you don't have that now, right? No one from AEW is showing up in WWF because none of them are in shape.
Besides the one guy,
the one dude works out,
and then they have him get beat up and then leave immediately.
The Pudgy Hardys aren't showing up.
But you guys were going to talk about
Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble.
Sorry,
no, you're fine.
We digress.
Yeah. So as far as the pre-show goes, I didn't see it because we were doing a podcast. the two pre-show matches was Sheamus and Shorty, right?
I didn't see the liar either.
And the other one was Andrade and the other
And
guy. I always forget.
Yeah, it was Humberto Carrillo or whatever.
Yeah, this really young Mexican wrestler. They're pushing the hell out of him. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Has he got like good vertical game or anything?
Yeah,
he flies around.
He's basically a slightly larger luchador with no mask and no personality.
Yeah, but he's got a baby face. He looks like like he could be a model, I guess. But that was the two pre-show. And Sheamus did not show up the rest of the show. I thought he'd show up in the Royal Rumble.
Do you remember that one? What is that guy's name in AEW? The Latin guy that's in the inner circle with Guevara.
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara.
The panda guy.
Basically, it's kind of like him with a more wholesome look.
The guy came out with the panda thing on his head
and more athletic.
But anyways.
Yeah.
I didn't see their match.
No.
I didn't hear anything great about them, so
No.
we can't really talk about that. But then the first thing up right away was the Women's Royal Rumble.
So
the first match was the Roman Reigns
I forgot
Baron
about that.
Corbin
I forgot
Falls Count Anywhere fight.
So wait, so Roman Reigns opened up Royal Rumble? I thought he was like more of like a main.
He was in the Royal Rumble too.
Oh.
Yeah, they do a lot of that though. These pay-per-views are. I mean, they've had pay-per-views where Brock Lesnar defending the title was the first match.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Did you? I didn't see that match. Did you?
I did.
Any your thoughts on that?
It was kind of what you would expect from one of those matches. A lot of kick punch. Of course, they had to have Ziggler and Rude come in and jump Reigns while they were sort of out in the. And this was at Minute Maid Park where the Astros play baseball in Houston.
Was someone cheating?
And so they're fighting through the.
signs.
Yeah, they were. So they were jumping. Then of course the Usos show up and back and forth. It was basically like your kick punch, throw people into stuff through the crowd. Eventually, what ended up happening is they got onto the dugout, the top of the dugout for the baseball field, and they like pulled away the tarp over it, and they started fighting on it. And then out of nowhere, Reigns hits him with a spear and pins him, and that was it. It was.
Baron Corbin is a terrible wrestler.
Yeah, you guys.
And he gets tons of big matches. I don't understand.
Well, the thing is, though, is he's probably one of the only people that, like, he's not good on the mic, but he's good at making people hate him.
Yeah, he gets a lot of heat.
That's one thing they lack of that a lot too. Like
He's drawn
with the exception of him and pretty much him and the Miz. When they decide to let the Miz be a heel, are the only ones that are really good at making people really hate him. A lot of the heels, so to speak, are kind of like neutral characters that people don't really hate that much. They end up half liking them. I think pretty much everybody universally hates Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
But it was about as it was, I guess, as exciting as one of those matches could be.
Yeah,
because they don't really do anything.
And they're still continuing that feud.
I'm
they
sure.
They wrestled on SmackDown this Friday too.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see SmackDown yesterday.
I didn't.
I heard Strowman won the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, finally gave that guy a belt. It only took 2 years.
So
right after that was the Women's Royal Rumble match. No real. There was Kelly showed up.
Yeah,
Beth
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
But listening to your prediction, you thought that this is where Rousey was going to show back up.
I pulled the Charles the week prior because everything I predicted was totally wrong. I thought Ronda Rousey was going to make an appearance in this Women's Royal Rumble.
Wait, were these predictions like Jimbo Fisher bad or? Like
first?
Texas A&M's going to win 9 games.
Oh, they were pretty close because I said Edge wasn't going to be back to wrestling ever again, and we all know what happened there.
Fuck Jimbo.
And I thought Ronda Rousey was going to show up, and there was no Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
But this Royal Rumble is kind of by the numbers, right? It had a lot of NXT girls in it. It had Kelly.
You said they have a hard time filling that roster in, right?
Yeah,
it was about 10 NXT girls.
Yeah, they actually had. Do you remember? I don't know. Do you know who Santino Marella is? He's just like, I guess,
He's
Italian
a comedic
guy. Yeah,
wrestler.
He'd come out with like a singlet.
He was dressed
and
like a
he had
woman.
this sock that he put on. It was like a cobra, and he'd do this kind of. He basically, I guess, a couple of years ago or the year before, got into something with like Natalya and Beth Phoenix. So he comes out dressed like a woman, and they kind of corner him, and he ends up doing the sock.
But what's
thing,
funny to me,
he eliminates himself. It was really stupid.
As you guys talked about, like having an issue filling out the roster. There's 2 other events that are chicks here. I'm looking at.
Yeah,
wow.
well, that's part of it. Well, and they used a lot of NXT wrestlers
to fill in that.
Well, there's
the
NXT women's wrestling division is pretty good. They have a lot of wrestlers that probably should be on the main shows. But it wasn't particularly exciting though.
No, and then Charlotte Flair wins, knocks the last NXT.
Yeah, her
out.
and Shayna Baszler were the last two.
Baszler's the big one from NXT.
That gives her the right to get a title shot.
She gets to pick which one of them she wants to wrestle.
And she has on Raw. She didn't. Now the one I was surprised, Nia Jax didn't show up. I thought
I kind of thought she would come back too. She might not be. I mean, she had double ACL surgery. She might not be ready to come back yet.
Oh, well, that was a surprise.
I mean, yeah.
And of course, Ronda Rousey didn't show up, so Steve don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Have there been rumors recently about her coming back to UFC? Because apparently she has a YouTube channel where she does little videos, and I guess she did a video sometime this week where she was talking about she doesn't feel any pressure to come back. She knows in her heart that she's the best ever, and
best ever.
Yeah,
she got punched in the jaw twice, never came back.
Whatever
that girl does, the next thing she shouldn't do is act. Because she can't.
Yeah, I'm not sure she does come back. I mean, unless she runs out of money. I mean,
that's true. But she's on that 911 show. I was telling this to Charles last week, so she's got a regular. It's a Fox show about emergency crew.
Is it like a cheap knockoff of like Reno 911?
No, it's serious.
Funny,
yeah,
okay. This is a serious show.
But anyway, back to the terrible chick wrestling.
So Charlotte won the Royal Rumble. Everyone was like, yeah. And every time someone wins the Royal Rumble, too, they got to stand there for 5 minutes and point at the WrestleMania sign. Like, we don't know you're going to WrestleMania.
And they'll do that every week until WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
In case you didn't know, she's at WrestleMania.
I might have the matches out of order, but one of the next matches was Becky versus Asuka. Asuka.
I always think of that name. I know this much. Steve can't do that name ever.
I always think of that girl off of animated Clone Wars. That's why when her name's Asuka. But Asuka,
sucky.
I saw Asuka and Becky. What were your thoughts on this match?
It was okay. It was just kind of okay.
At one point, they do a rock bottom off the second rope, and you can see Becky counting. And then they do the move. So that was kind of bad.
It was... I kind of expected a little bit better match because Asuka usually puts on good matches. And
yeah, she's one of the better
you see her, you see her, and if anything, I think it kind of shows off how... Okay, so Becky, she's a product and a character that's really big, but as a wrestler, she's not at the level of Charlotte and Asuka.
No, nowhere close.
Probably not even Bayley. Yeah. And so I don't think the match was kind of sloppy and trying to working in what's her name, Kairi Sane's interference was kind of it was kind of disappointing.
And the whole green mess thing from the Great Muta thing.
Oh yeah.
It was a by the numbers match. It was average at best. It just women's wrestling is still so terrible. I'm sorry.
We get it. You don't like women's MMA. You don't like women's wrestling.
Ask him if he's like women's
so
I don't like women's stand up. We're all sexist.
I don't have a problem with women's wrestling if it's decent.
But it's very rarely.
My thing with now I was a bit of a Great Muta fan back in the day. I love the green mist thing. Why is it that Asuka seems like she's spitting out half a paint can worth of it?
I don't. She has a ton.
Like Muta would put out just enough to do the blinding stuff and win the match. She shoots it out, and whoever gets hit with it, their entire face is covered with it.
It's a shitload. She does.
It's like
a whole water
It's
bottle.
like if Ric Flair bled in a cage match, except it's all green from like the middle of your head down to his cheek.
Yeah, she does a lot. I don't know how she does.
I don't know how she holds it in her mouth that long, unless she somehow pulls.
I think
it out
at one point
pulls out a
match,
tablet or something. It's a lot. They could do like a third of that and it'd still be effective.
So Becky wins that one, and then another lackluster female match was Bayley versus Lacey Evans. I have yet to see Lacey Evans in any kind of match that's decent. I don't know.
She does good moves. I don't know why it doesn't work.
This match ended up in a roll-up small pin package. I was like, oh, are you kidding me?
The other thing with Lacey Evans, though, is that they spent months making her to be this obnoxious heel, whatever, and then suddenly, without anything really happening, because this happened even before the whole thing with her kid being at ringside and Sasha and...
Well, she turned good when she went and did that Saudi Arabia match.
And suddenly...
Charles saw the highlights of that.
Oh, yeah, where she was like, oh, this is such an honor. And then suddenly, she's Captain Frickin' America. All they talk about is her military service and her being a role model to little kids. And I liked her better when she was obnoxious.
Yeah. So that match, another lackluster one. Then what did you think of Charles's favorite wrestler, the Fiend versus Daniel Bryan. They did not leave the red light on this time.
Finally.
So that at least was normal. They had a strap match. They were whopping each other pretty good with it.
A strap-on match?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan's back was just completely covered with welts.
Yeah.
What's the end game with Fiend?
He loses the title?
Well, yeah, but so every time he's in a match now, you get a little bit more kind of a chink in the armor where someone kind of gets a little bit further on. No, it's not racist. Anyway, thank you for noting my use of the word chink. Not in that context, thank you. But so he seems a little bit more vulnerable until suddenly he's just pops up like nothing ever, and then it's like, oh, he might lose, and he's getting beat down, and then suddenly just Undertaker pop up, he just stands up, and then done, end of match.
Yeah, like it's pretty much what happened.
Well, but at some point, who are they? Are they having him fight little guys so that someday it's going to have to be the way they're working with him? It's either going to have to be one of those little goofy things that like the Fiend is actually a different guy than Bray Wyatt, and those two end up kind of conflicting with each other, or they're going to have someone who's believable and credible enough as a badass big guy. It has to be Reigns or someone like Strowman, and they're not going to let Strowman do that because they refuse to allow him to be taken seriously. But it's going to need to be a large, strong person. It's going to have to be powerful enough to actually penetrate, the guard of, the defense, because because the Fiend isn't human, and
he loves that word penetrate, doesn't he?
Penetrate in the strap match.
I just don't get. And I don't understand why can't he just wrestle as Bray Wyatt and still be scary? The whole lights turning off and him showing up with a mandible claw the mandible claw was a shitty move when Mankind did it.
Yeah, I told Charles that the other day. The mandible claw is so
great.
Terrible.
So he basically has
sticks two fingers in your mouth.
He's basically got like a 2-finger glove over his 2 middle fingers, and he shoves in your mouth, and that's it. So great. He finger chokes you down and to beat you, and that's it.
Why couldn't you just bite his fingers?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? That's how stupid that move is.
Seriously, it's like he's trying to give the entire WWE eating disorders. He's trying to freaking purge their food out and make them puke. Doesn't make any sense. So they need to just kind of move on with this. The act's getting old and it's not scary anymore. It's just stupid and time consuming.
So the Fiend wins, defends his belt in another lackluster match. But then the men's Royal Rumble happens. And the first entrance is Brock Lesnar. And then the second entrance...
So he's number one.
He's number one. Because he wants to prove he's going to throw all 30 guys out.
He volunteered to be number one.
Yeah, he volunteered to be number one. And then the second entrance is that Elias guy, the guy with the guitar and the beard that looks like Macho Man. He has the worst gimmick ever. And literally Lesnar proceeds to throw 13 people out in a row.
Yeah, until the 13th...
just chucking them immediately?
The 13th guy then is Keith Lee.
Keith Lee's his big.
I know who that is.
He's this big African American man from NXT.
Okay,
so he's like 300 pounds. He's athletic and he does moves and stuff. And they had given him a little bit of rub in, was it Survivor Series?
RTS, what does rub mean?
Giving him the rub is sort of like getting him over, letting him get over. Where he got involved in the match with. Survivor Series?
Yes.
Where he was the last one left with Roman Reigns. He almost beat Roman, and Roman had finally pulled it out, and then he did the nod of respect. So giving him the rub, basically, sort of.
Did he give him a tug, too, or just the rub?
Basically what it is having a major star kind of co-sign for you in a way that makes you more popular.
Give him a nod.
Yeah, so Keith Lee comes in, and then they go back and forth a bit, and then Strowman's the next one. And then they basically... they kind of beat the crap out of Lesnar for a minute, but then they start fighting each other, and Lesnar conveniently just flips them over the top rope while they're fighting each other.
So at this point, me and Bill are texting back and forth, and I didn't get why they were making Lesnar this unstoppable monster guy, because
they've made him that all the time.
Yeah, so but then it dawns on me when Drew first Ricochet comes out, he's a little guy. Lesnar's beating the shit out of him all over the place, and then Drew McIntyre comes out. Now Drew McIntyre, he's 6'5", he's a Scottish guy, he's ripped, he's a pretty big dude. And he eliminates Lesnar. place goes bananas.
Yeah.
And immediately put this guy over. And so now it made sense to me.
Well,
but up until that point, I was like, why the hell are they doing
yeah,
this?
and they kind of did the same thing for Ricochet, because Ricochet had come out like the week before on Raw and said, I'm not afraid of you. And Lesnar's kind of laughing at him. He just walks him and kicks him in the nuts and then laughs at him and leaves. And so before McIntyre eliminates him, Ricochet comes up behind him and gives him a nut shot. So that stops Lesnar long enough for McIntyre to kick him over the top rope. And then,
So it did work.
You guys were on the edge of your seat during that.
well, but and then they drag it out too, because then they got Lesnar on the ground acting like he's dead for about a couple minutes, and McIntyre's just standing over the rope staring at him like, what, bitch? He's talking shit after he knocks him out, and of course, so McIntyre is going to wrestle him at WrestleMania now.
Did they point to the sign?
Yeah.
Wait for it. So then from there it goes on. So you get your Randy Ortons in there, your AJ Styles.
Get your Randy. You get your Randy.
You get them all in
Ortons.
there. And then the big surprise comes in. As I said on this podcast last week, I told you, Edge is not coming back.
Yeah.
Edge shows up.
He was in Pennsylvania.
And then suddenly, you think you know me.
and place went bananas for him too. They went pretty crazy.
How's he
for him.
look at this point? Is he old
Good,
enough
except
age
for
or-
one gray strip
He is
right
in
here.
desperate need of some Just for Men.
Yeah.
Like,
He needs it
his
like off of
beard is
Bad
weird.
Boys.
But other than that, he looks basically like he did
Years
10
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
And he came out and hit like 6 spears on everybody, which is kind of weird when you had your
Considering
neck
he had
moving
his
through.
neck
Yeah.
fused together and he was told he couldn't wrestle again, to come out and just do like 5 straight spears.
Yeah.
And, of course,
Risky.
and he hurts your boy AJ Styles,
Oh.
who now has a rib problem.
So then the final,
Like a legit rib
Yeah,
problem?
like he might not be back for WrestleMania.
Oh.
so it goes back and forth. The final 4 is Drew McIntyre, Edge, Roman Reigns, and Randy Orton. Randy Orton and Edge are going to team up, but then of course Edge turns on Randy Orton, throws his ass out, and then Roman Reigns throws Edge out, and then Drew McIntyre eliminates Roman Reigns. And what did Drew McIntyre do as soon as he won, Charles? Pointed at that WrestleMania.
We got to get a
sign.
WrestMania sign we can point to. in
Yeah,
this
every day
room.
before the podcast.
I know, in addition to the studio.
So, and that's how the pay-per-view ended. I mean, compared to other pay-per-views, this was probably one of the better ones of the year, which is sad.
Really?
I thought. I mean, what other pay-per-views did you see
I
this year?
thought other than the men's Royal Rumble, it was pretty much a waste of time. I didn't think it really wasn't all that entertaining.
You didn't think so?
No.
So give us a score out of 10, BB. We always press it around here. What do you got?
4?
Wow. I'd give it to Steve Six.
6. All right. Dude, we need to change the name of the podcast to the Steve Six Podcast.
So, there you go. The Royal Rumble. Bill hated it. I thought it was okay.
And you know how you can think it's okay? Because he gave it a 6.
And it just proves that I'm like Charles. I can't predict shit. It tells me Edge isn't coming back, and then there's Edge standing there.
CM Punk did not come back, though.
Yeah, there was no CM Punk.
There were some rumors that he may come back.
So there we go. So that's wrestling, and then the next pay-per-view is going to be in Saudi Arabia, I think, February 8th.
Gotta get
or
that
something.
Saudi
I have no
money.
idea.
Gotta get that blood money for Vince.
Yeah.
Get that stock back
Yeah, I
up
was going to
there.
say get the stock up.
Of course, next week is
When you wash the blood off the money, it is still green.
Oh.
Ooh. Listen, Bill, they told that to Bill when they hired him at BP.
Get rid of that crude oil off of that
The
duck.
Helios, also green.
So, and also the XFL launches next week. So
Yeah.
Charles and I will be talking about that on the podcast.
Yeah, just really quickly, I don't mean to pull off track.
What day is it going to air on? Does anyone
Saturday
know?
and Sunday.
Yeah, so I saw a preview commercial for it on ESPN yesterday, and some of the rules, like double forward passes,
Yeah, as long as you're behind the line of scrimmage.
that's still kind of dumb, but okay.
Yeah.
They got to do something to differentiate. That's all it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they have
Differentiation. That's all
to? I mean,
it is.
just no fair catches. Isn't that enough? Do they have to really?
We'll see.
Is
We'll
it-
see if it lasts.
I'm interested to see if it's actually going to be like football. Or if
That's
it's going to
the
be so
question.
ridiculous that it's not really football.
The problem is with these startup leagues is their offenses always suck balls for the first couple of weeks, and defense and it's not because the defenses are good; it's just because the offenses are that bad.
Well,
That's what happened in the AFL or whatever.
Oh, there were,
the Alliance of
American
American
football.
Football.
Yeah, their offenses. Were
Haven't
just so
these teams
terrible.
had like 2 years to put teams
You would
together,
think
though?
so. Bob Stoops does coach one of them, so we'll see how this goes.
Doesn't Spurrier coach one too?
No, he was in the AAF.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had it wrong. So that's next week. We're going to look at the XFL and see how that goes. I said that a little loud, didn't I? Wake Bill up there for you.
I know.
Now, next I got a couple of reviews. One's going to be from Bill. One's going to be from me. Charles, as a father, you know, and I know, there's some things, sometimes you want to know where your kid's at. And sometimes kids don't answer their text or their little walkie-talkies, and they get, because they're amused with this other shit. So I took it upon myself, because my daughter's 15, will be driving June 1st. Joyous me. She already wants to go to Cedar Point on her own. I was like, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'll talk
That's
about
quick.
I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah.
Hence the tracking stuff.
So I made her put on her phone Life 360. And I put it on mine and Michelle's phone. And what this does, now I looked into the
So
OBD.
are there different? Let me ask a question.
Yes.
So this is going to be a tracking app. So in this room, we want to track BV.
Yes.
Is there a different app I put on his phone, or they all three get the same app, and you can track any of the three phones?
Yeah, it's the same app.
It's a mutual account?
Yeah. So what happens is Bill would put Life 360 on his phone, and I would send him an invite code to my family.
Okay.
So then he would just put in the code, and then he would be able to see Holly, myself, and Michelle, and I would see Bill where he's
I get
at,
you, I get you.
wherever his phone's at.
So you incorporate them into an account.
Yeah, and it's free for the basic tracking. So here's a look at the map that you see. I don't know if they can see it online right there.
Yeah, all I
probably
see is
can't
a
see it
big,
with the
yeah,
camera.
screen.
But you can see there.
It looks like a Google map with two beacon points on it.
Yeah. So
you've
there's
got a label that says M for whatever. What is that?
that's
M?
Michelle.
Okay.
And then an H for Holly. Then I'm me and
You
Holly.
obviously you don't track your own phone.
Yeah. So but you can hit it. And
How
it'll show it to you.
accurate is it? Have you
It's
noticed?
fairly accurate. It doesn't update every second, so sometimes it takes a couple minutes to update and stuff like that.
This is how do they pay for it? Is it freeware like ads
No,
supported?
Now,
No.
is that the software, or is it just your Samsung phone?
That's
has
why
to
some
wait a few
say-
minutes.
No, this is the Life 360. No, it works for Android or iOS. So Holly's is an iPhone, Michelle's mine are Android.
Does it work for Andrade?
It does work for Andrade,
Okay.
the wrestler, and the phone, and it works fairly good. See
How are they paying
pay
the
for
bills?
it because it's got tiers.
What's the next tier up?
So the
from
next
your
tier
cheap
in there-
ass, because I know you got the freeware version.
The next tier up is like $769 a month or $760 a month. It's real weird.
What does that get you?
That tracks your driving. So if I feel that Holly's hot rodding everywhere, I get paid for that monthly, and it'll tell me how fast she's driving, where she's driving to.
Okay.
Then
And
there's
then
another tier on top of that that also does audio. So like if her phone's on in her car, I can hear what she's saying. If I really,
Oh wow!
yeah. So
Wow.
I just want to know where she's at on occasion. Because any father of a teenager knows that 9 times out of 10 they don't respond to their.
So what are you
going
going to call her and be like, "Don't mess with my discount"? I mean,
No, I'm not about that.
Okay.
My hypothetical is like, once she gets her license, the kid's gone, right? She's going to be at her friend's house constantly. And she has a habit of Holly naps. She's a napper, believe it or not. So she'll go to Bree's house. They're hanging out. 10 o'clock, she might pass out at Bree's floor or something, sleeping. We'll text her, where are you at? She won't text back because she's asleep. We can just open the app and see, oh, she's over at Bree's. No big deal. Now, of course, there's ways she can get around it. If she turns her phone off, but she won't because it's her lifeblood. It won't track. Or there's ways to spoof your IP and stuff. If
or
you
she's
really want
like,
to look
"Bree,
into it.
I'm going to leave my phone here while I go out with Rico."
That could be a
You know,
possibility.
Out in the garage.
But
yeah.
at least she has to take those extra steps to get
Next
away
thing you
from
know, she's butt naked by the creek.
it. Well, I don't want to think about that, but
I'm sure you don't.
but just because she's gonna start. And let me tell you though, a 15-year-old does not like her privacy invaded.
I don't give a shit. I told you this when we texted earlier in the week. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm gonna track you. You're my kid. You're my property. I'm gonna track you. I don't care. I got big. I don't care. Lorna,
I agree. As long as you are responsible for her
that
activity,
person.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you turn 18, fine, but at
But
this
if you
point-
turn 18, buy your phone. If I pay your
yeah.
phone and your
Agreed.
bill and
agreed.
you don't like how the dictatorships run, change it. You know what I
Well,
mean? That's my
yeah.
thing.
That's what I told her, and I got an emo daughter for about 2 days straight.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Oh, well, since you're almost old enough to have a license, you're old enough to get a job.
Yeah, I'm
so-
just saying.
Yeah, it was,
Sounds like a cool app if it's free deal.
I mean, Dairy Queen's
Yeah.
behind 50
There's no ads. There's no nothing on the free
no.
version.
It'll say, "Why don't you try this feature for X amount of month or whatever?" I just turn that off.
Wow.
But there's another nice thing. It sends me notifications. So like today, Michelle and Holly went shopping or whatever. I was in the basement, and then as soon as they came home, on my phone it said Michelle and Holly are home. Arrives at home and stuff like that.
Seems like a good app.
And for-
Yeah.
So the one thing you suggested was those OBD plugins for the car.
ODB too, yeah.
The problem with those is they all charge monthly, $10 to $20 a month.
Yeah.
None of them are free. This
is
free.
just a free app you
Yeah.
drop on the phone.
Yeah,
so
Life 360 app for all you parents out there.
you know, track them kids.
And the reason why Holly didn't like it, the deadbeats on TikTok were bitching about it.
I don't give a shit about deadbeats on TikTok.
She's like, only the losers who smoke weed and get in trouble have to put this
it's
on
like
their
new
on their
Vines,
phones.
a stupid little shorty
Oh my
video.
god, teenagers love it. They fucking love it.
It's a Chinese app.
Yeah, they're
Okay, what does it do?
data
Tracks
mine,
people.
data mine American kids.
Yeah, exactly. Sends it back to China.
Yes, but it's just stupid Vine. It's pointless, but she spends hours on it. So the Life 360 app, your kid's gonna throw a fit, but it'll benefit you if you're a parent and if you care. Now, Bill,
Yes.
you showed up this weekend in the new Batmobile, the
Batmobile?
the Matthew McConaughey special Lincoln
Yeah.
Continental. Tell us what about your new car and how much you like it and what you think about it.
Well, it's as you mentioned, it's a Lincoln Continental.
What you said? It's
It's
2019.
it's a new 2019.
Yeah.
They were heavily discounting them to get them sold, so
Yeah.
that made it in the range of affordable. Enough to where I could pull the trigger, but
What kind of engine and what kind of gas mileage you get in that beast?
it has a 2.7 liter twin turbo 6-cylinder. It's rated for like I think 19 city, 25 or 26 highway.
Okay. It's a big piece of steel, so to
Yeah,
get that, you're doing okay.
and it has kind of like easy power. I normally put Waze on when I drive out here. So I can see where the cops are, and I'll usually drive. I'll usually drive.
I didn't know that.
I'll drive like 90, pretty much most of the way down 94.
The only thing Bill's fast like besides eating
I don't.
is fucking driving.
But,
Andretti over
and
here.
I wasn't paying attention. I started listening to a song. So I wasn't.
Man,
paying
that
attention.
90s
I
rap
look up.
comes on,
I look up. I look up at the heads-up display, and I'm going 102. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
So
Although
you
it
get
was
the.
interesting
I didn't
that
notice that. So you get the heads-up display that kicks up into the windshield. And
Yeah,
everything
there's like
that?
a little.
That's pretty cool.
A little crater.
Batmobile, man.
That's
it'll
pretty
tell
cool.
you like how many miles you have to empty. It'll give you this your speed and the applicable speed limit.
Okay.
And then it'll be like temperature outside and the time. And you can. I haven't.
Tweak it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I can change what
Yeah.
displays on there, but I haven't gotten that deep into it yet.
So the big feature you wanted were the heated and cooled seats.
And in fact, it ended
And the
up,
buttery leather that you upgraded
it
for.
ended up costing me about an extra 10, 12 grand in the
for
sticker price.
seats?
No, because the sticker price was another like between 10 and 15 grand.
For a different package.
Because I was going to get a certain trim level. There they have like 4 different ones, and so I was on the second one, and I was basically about to make a deal, and I was, well, wait a minute, where are the cooled seats? That's not on here, and so I said, well, can't I just add it? No, it's not an add-on.
That next tier.
You had to go to the next tier to be able to.
Yeah.
So it jumped up quite
That's how
a
they
bit.
get you in the drive-through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the majority of the cars, the sticker price on those that you, because you have like, a lot of times cars will have like certain standard groupings of equipment and add-ons. Most of them had a ton of add-ons, so it was like between 4 and 10 grand more than I wanted to spend because it had stuff I didn't care about.
Yeah.
So I actually went online and did a search and found this car in Kansas City that fit the right, sticker price that I could get reduced to a point that would work for me.
You should have the right package.
Yeah, and had to eliminate a lot of the little extra things that I didn't care about. It was still, this is still by far the most I've ever paid for a car.
Are you going to get the windows tint in it?
Oh, you got to do that.
I wasn't planning on it.
Deep. Get that deep.
Isn't that illegal?
Who cares?
No, just not the front window. The side windows are legal.
No, the side windows are not legal to tint.
You can get them tinted.
You can-
Just-
you
they're
can-
only to a certain degree, though.
No, you cannot.
Then how do
You
I
can
see
only-
all these?
They're all illegal unless
You
you,
can-
have
you-
someone sign off on the ability to need it.
I think
you can
you-
only do a 4-inch band. It's a weird thing.
On the side windows, I think you can tint it to a certain
in
level.
the back, not on the front.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that?
Get it murdered out. What do you mean?
Okay, the whole point of spending a ridiculous amount of money
To
on
get
a
it
car,
murdered out.
No, is so that you don't have to do shit like that to it.
Well, I don't know.
The whole point of buying a
It needs
luxury
tinted
car
windows.
is so that you don't have to do anything with it.
Yeah,
It doesn't need tinted windows.
Get that
Am I trying to hide from people?
limo black tinted windows.
Wow, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah, we've pretty much maxed out what I'm willing to spend on this car.
So what is the feature that put you over the top that you just love on that car?
It's the cooled seats, but there were a bunch of other things like we were driving it or riding it earlier on. The front seats have, it's called the perfect position seats that have 30-way power, so you can have 30 different settings.
Articulation.
You can literally like tweak every aspect of the seat. They have kind of unique seats where there's a base, and then there's the cushion portions with the leather that will move individually to help contour the way you want it. It has front and lower massage on both seats. I like the heads-up display. I like little features like the push-button door and the soft closing and just every.
The only thing like it's
adaptive cruise control.
When we were adaptive cruise control has got to be the coolest thing ever because that's you're doing 147 miles.
Well, no, I obviously can't use it when I'm going 90. But.
Yeah, but the one thing that I will say that I thought was kind of weird was, like I said, the seats. And they're not bad seats, but they're a little more contoured than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be like more executive style.
Well, you're used to, and I was used to, like old school Lincolns. Like, you remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, like the big town car.
Yeah, like
and they always had those big, plush,
pillowy kind of,
Yeah, and the weird part is that, and I test drove a number of different cars over the last few years, and as you guys know, I've leased a couple Cadillac SUVs, and most luxury brands now are going to a more sporty kind of approach, and the seats. So, for example, the Cadillac that I have now is called the XT5, which was a model that replaced the outgoing SRX, which I had before that, and I love the SRX. It was nice, plush, comfortable, and they started to get away from it with the XT5. They wanted to make everything sportier, so the seat was less plush. It was harder. The Continental seat is about as kind of traditional luxury style as I've seen.
In a modern car,
even if you go to like Mercedes and
still kind of contoured.
Because I looked at a Mercedes, I test drove a BMW. I actually looked at a couple. By the way, odd stat, just completely. I was looking at the 7 Series BMW, not new because they're like $100,000 new.
Yeah.
You can get like a 2-year-old 750 with like 10 to 15,000 miles. It literally is like $50,000.
Yeah.
It's like the fastest appreciating car in the world.
I don't know.
But it's a monstrous. And I love big cars. It's really, but they tend to be going more towards a sporty. Yeah. And so one of the big appeals to me of the Continental is that
that articulation.
It's meant to be a luxury car, and so it's not trying to be sport handling and like the whole purpose of the car is comfort. And I've always, even though I do drive kind of fast, I always prefer.
Now, do you see yourself cruising down the road with that massaging your butt cheeks? You think you'll run the massage while you drive, or that?
Well, it'll only run for a certain period of time, and it'll stop itself. You have to restart it. But yeah, I ran it like half the way here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were going to do that.
Yeah. Working them knots out.
Well, I might as well. I mean, I don't know.
If you got it. Yeah.
I don't know that I'll do it forever, but I certainly wanted to check it out, and it's.
You think that'll last?
It takes a little getting used to.
You think that's one of those little cool features that might break down over time, or
I don't know.
That would suck.
As long as it,
I couldn't imagine.
As long as it doesn't break down. Well, after I'm out of warranty, then we're okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but it's.
Charles, you drove it. What did you think?
It's a great car. It's not for me, but it's definitely more BV style. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. You are right, though. The headroom in that back seat is rough.
Well, I think it's not that good in the first place, but having that extra little scoop down there.
Because you got an enormous panoramic moonroof.
If you're 5'8" or below, you'll be okay. But anybody taller than 5'8",
well, it was odd because my brother is maybe 6'1", and he was fine in it yesterday.
Wait, does he slouch?
Probably. But the day that and this is probably the only time it'll ever happen, but the day I got the car from the dealership, I went around checking it because I wanted to make sure that nothing was messed up in the transport from Kansas City. And I just climbed into the back seat and I sat there, and my head was up against the top of it. And you guys are, both at least 2-3 inches taller than I am. I mean, I have a tall torso for my height, but it's not like I'm tall by any stretch.
He's Chris Benoit.
Well, I do have kind of short.
We wonder what was going on.
I do have kind of short legs for my height.
We always discuss what's disproportionate on
BV. So yeah, I mean it's. But the thing is so for me this was. Yeah, it was a little bit of a splurge or whatnot, but it was one of those. You know how you get to a point where you're just like, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do for once.
You work for a living, you deserve it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's...
Did you ever consider, not whatever, did you ever consider getting, like, because they make trucks now that have, like, super plushy interiors.
I've never liked pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was... Yeah, and
well, if you're looking for that more plush seat.
Well, I'm not a pickup kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, and with, you know, my stepdad's had F-150s for like basically forever. They're really comfortable. They're nice. I know they're not really all that much like trucks anymore, but no, I wanted to. I took a look at it. I didn't test drive it because I took a look at the Aviator. Mm-hmm. That's also a really, really cool car. Or SUV.
I have a horror story about that car.
Oh, yeah?
What is it?
The chick I work with, husband, works on that wire loom of that car.
Oh, and
yeah.
Well, they had it. I think that they have for the most part worked that out. Well, they did but they rushed.
We'll agree to disagree on that.
Okay, well, I know that they rushed to do the rollout late fall with that and the new because of the 2020 Explorer is completely redesigned. And they rushed them out too early, and they didn't get the some of the mechanical or the electrical kinks kicked out, and so there were some. But as far as it's a nice,
I'm sure it is.
It was just the thing was though,
but it would suck to pay that much money for an automobile and have issues. That's
well, and it was one of those things because that's now the SUV. Because I also did test drive what turned out the Nautilus, which turned out to be essentially the Lincoln version of what I already have.
Yeah.
But the Aviator is like that step in between. It has a third row. I don't know why it needs a third row, but it has a third row.
So when Matthew McConaughey's ice fishing, he's got some
exactly. He's all right. But it started basically like in the range of the original car I looked at before I realized I had to have the cooled seats. And that was, with not to get the kind of stuff that I would want that I have in this car in that. It was going to easily go over, like 70. It went into like 70, 75 grand. And it's a new car too. So I didn't pay anywhere near what the sticker was on my car.
Based on getting it out the lot.
Based on that, they could discount the crap out of it, and they were incentivized to get rid of it. The Aviators, there's been like wait lists for them. So, they're not giving you any deal at all. And if you, you imagine what the financing on a $70,000 or $75,000 car is.
Yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not willing to go that far. I don't know if I'll ever be willing to go that far.
Well, sometimes maybe be a big roller.
So overall, are you super happy with the car?
I am.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is it the best car you've had in your life?
Without, it's not even close.
Yeah.
That being said, the one. Okay, my biggest issue with it is not the car; it's me.
I've been saying that a long time.
No, but
sounds like he's breaking up with the car.
No. The thing is that I like it a lot. I think that I would really benefit more from the car, particularly all the comfort stuff, if I was even probably 30, 40 pounds smaller.
Oh.
Because I'm just at a size where I feel like I'm just a little bit too big for the seat. To get all
it's got those wings, so it's contoured.
And it's sort of like
it grabs you in a weird way.
And if I,
but it sounds like you have enough articulation that just could be a comfort over time.
Well, and I'll figure that out when I have time to sit there for an hour and just play with my seat. And I haven't had the chance to. I mean, there's so many features to it that I haven't even had a chance to get in and tweak, and so I think I'll like it more. A month from now when I've had time to get everything the way I want it. But.
Yeah. You are buying it, right?
Yes.
So it will be interesting to see because Lincoln is technically Ford, right?
Yeah.
How all those electrical gadgets hold up in about 5
What are you, 90 now? That's the old dad thing. You want crank windows still?
No, I've owned a lot of Fords, and the first thing to go on all of them is the electrical.
You can't
you
not
just
have
said
that.
you had a guy.
But you can't not have it
No,
in
I'm
a
not
modern
talking about
car.
the average stuff. I mean, like,
I do know
there's a lot of extra stuff on this car. I'm
the
just
expert
saying,
reviews,
I'd be worried about.
The reviews that have come in on Lincolns have been really, really favorable.
Here's my thing: if you spend $72,000 on a car, you can afford to fix the bullshit that messes up on it. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
For the record, I did not spend that much.
I know, but I'm saying it's stickered at 72.
But even if you pay.
It's kind of like complaining.
The sticker was probably something like it was like 68, 69.
Okay.
But still, yeah. But if you're even still, like I think
you buy a Ferrari and bitch about how much it costs to change the oil in it.
If
You know
you're
what I
paying
mean?
$50-$55 for a car, right? I mean, you should make. First of all, if you're going to do that, it better damn well be what you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, the thing is, I'm not that concerned about it. The warranty's pretty decent. The bumper to bumper is like 4 years, 50,000. I'll extend it before
Steve
it's
wants
over.
you to buy an F-150 that Bergeron had that had rubber mats.
No, that's not
on
my
the
point.
inside of it.
I mean, if he's buying it, he's going to have it 7-8 years.
But here's the thing, though. Right?
I just know Ford Electrics are the first things to take shits.
See, the thing about those F-150s, right? It's one thing when you're leasing them for a couple of years and you get a reasonable payment. My stepdad was looking at one, and he eventually didn't buy a new one because to get the stuff you want on it, you're paying. I'm not paying $60,000 for a pickup.
Yeah.
I mean, and
I wish
too much.
I get Steve's point. Shit breaks.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying, you drop that kind of coin, go get the shit fixed.
And those
is all I'm saying.
those kind of features, it seems like those would be a lot more costly to fix than an average.
But you'll also
You
get
got $70,000 for a car. Go
I
fix
also
that
don't.
shit.
And some of the benefits too that like stuff I don't want to have to think about. Right, like when it's time for my oil changes or it's time for scheduled maintenance, I'm just going to call them. Have them bring me a loaner car, take my car, do the work, and bring it back. They have like the concierge kind of stuff.
Geez.
Like I don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff.
If you don't want to get an electric car, you don't got to worry about that at all.
Yeah, and if I could go long,
Or you get a Ford electric car that died in the winter.
You know,
That's Ford Electrics too.
and
you
if I
see,
and
man.
if I could
And
drive,
that was
we got
brand
rid
new.
and if I
of
could
it.
drive from my home to here on one
Steve
charge,
wants
and not have
roll-up
to
windows.
not have to find somewhere
I
to
don't wanna
stop
roll
and
up
charge
windows.
for a couple hours in the meantime, then I would have given real consideration to it.
Tesla's claiming they're going to have a
400
mile.
mile, yeah.
Well, isn't Ford claiming that Mustang is going to be pretty close to that too?
Why is that called a Mustang? Does anyone get that?
I don't. Get
Because they
Why
have,
did they give it a new name?
Because they have to put they feel like they have to put a brand name to it that works so they can sell it. Because
But everyone looks at it and goes, it's not a Mustang. It's a weird SUV. It's weird.
but isn't it supposed to be like ridiculously high horsepower?
Yeah,
for-
yeah.
So there's Bill's new Lincoln Continental. He's in love with it.
Nice car.
You want to see it? You can check our Instagram or Facebook. There's a picture out there for you.
Yeah,
And
thank you for
can-
taking a picture of my car and putting it on social media.
What are you worried about? You can't see the license plate. Fresh new ride. You got to brag a little bit. I mean, Jesus.
Oh yeah, give me like that guy on Facebook that takes a picture of my car and makes it like the
We should have
profile
got you
pic.
jailhouse standing in front of that mug. Like, yeah.
That'd be
Like,
funny.
pull out a fake gold rope while I'm at it too, and Kango and shit.
So now, like we do every week, we're going to go to rapid fire. We're going to give you movies, Blu-rays, and streaming, and see if you want to see it, don't want to see it, or what the hell is that? And Bill's shaking his head. He don't got the massage sheets here, Charles. That's what's messing him up.
These headphones are really warm.
Yeah. So first up at the movies is Birds of Prey: The Emancipation of Harley Quinn. I'm a yes. I already bought my tickets. It's Holly's going with us. So
Which way are we
that's,
going? I'm confused. I'm sitting in a weird seat. Am I number two?
You're number two.
No, because it's a comic book movie and I'm out.
You're okay.
Yeah, I've seen a couple commercials of that. Really,
Yeah.
that's a movie you're excited about.
I'm not excited about it, but I'm going to go.
But
see
you've
it.
already bought the tickets. You're not
Well,
excited.
I didn't
about
buy the ticket. That was being exaggerated,
Oh.
but it comes out next
Absolutely
weekend.
not.
And next is Fantasy Island.
Is this Hervey Village, Chaz? Is this like that
I
fantasy
think he's
island?
been dead for years.
No, what I'm saying, like, is that the...
Yeah, it's based on the old TV
That's what I'm
show.
trying to say.
But they
Yeah.
made it into a horror movie.
Oh.
Will we get?
It's by that Blumhouse. Michael Pena's in it, the guy from...
Pena?
You know who he is.
From Chips.
Will we get
Yeah.
the Rich Corinthian leather? No.
It's a horror movie. If they made it like the actual show, I might have been interested, but I'm a no on Fantasy Island, Charles.
It's a horror movie, much like a comic book movie. I am a no.
And Bill?
Just echo his stuff. Ditto.
So next on Blu-ray coming out this week is Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. This is allegedly the sequel to
Ewan
The Shining.
McGregor,
Ewan
yeah.
McGregor. I'm a little interested just to see how bad this was because it tanked so bad. So I'm a yes on Dr. Sleep.
I am not a yes, but my wife is a yes, so I'm sure we'll have a copy of it eventually. I probably won't watch it, but...
You lost me at Stephen King.
Oh, Abby's not a Stephen King fan?
I don't care if she was. I'm not watching. No, she's not.
Touche.
Yeah, I want nothing
Sounds
to do
like
with
her
anything.
problem, not BV's.
I don't want anything to do with anything Stephen King.
Next, the girl from Game of Thrones in Last Christmas.
Which girl? Arya?
The white-haired girl. I don't know her
The
name.
dragon
Emily
mother,
something,
yeah.
I think is her name.
Oh, Emilia Clarke?
Emilia Clarke, that's it. Last Christmas is a bad romantic comedy. Came out about November. I'm a no on this one, Charles.
Seems like we're about a month and a half too late, aren't we? I'm a no. I don't.
I have one question. Will she be nude?
No, it's PG-13.
No.
All right.
No.
Next is the animated movie Arctic Dogs. It tanked at the theater. I think Jeremy Renner plays one of the voices of the dogs. I'm a no on this.
Is Cuba Gooding Jr. in this?
I don't think so, no.
Oh,
You're
I'm a
thinking
no.
about the 90s Disney movie he was in?
Is what still an option?
Yes, it is.
I have no idea what this is. So
Next, John Cena's motion picture.
What's that?
Well, actually, his second motion picture. He did The Marine before this and 12 Rounds. So
This looks so bad.
he's a firefighter and he helps
Did
raise
a lot of
little
money,
kids.
as we talked
He
about.
did make money.
Yeah.
I was surprised, like 30 or 40 million on this movie. Playing with fire. John Cena Nickelodeon movie as a firefighter. I'm a big no. Charles.
This looks so bad.
I hope Lorna wants to see this.
I'm a definite no.
This
There's
was in
no
the
way
theaters?
this
This
is.
was in
It
the
looks
theater.
so bad.
Me and Charles ripped on it and they made 40 million. So go
Yeah.
figure. And Bill, what do you think?
No.
No. Now, this next one up is on streaming. This is on Netflix. I think this is a documentary about pharmacies and big medical and all the different crooked things that go in on it. So it's called The Pharmacist on Netflix. I just don't care about it. I know the medical field's crooked, so I don't need to watch it. I'm a no. Sure.
I'm actually a what? I didn't know what it was from your description. It depends on what they kind of show. If it's something crazy like how insurances hose people and stuff, I could be interested in that. So I guess I'm a maybe.
This is one of those that if I hear a bunch of people talking
Yeah.
about how good it is, then I'll
Jump
watch
on
it.
it.
Otherwise, I probably won't see it.
Yeah.
All right. And then the next Disney Plus one is Toy Story 4. It's just now getting to Disney Plus. I've already seen it, so I'm a no, Charles.
It's funny. I'm not endeared or really watch the Toy Story movies, so I'm a no.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And Bill, are you?
Well, I don't have Disney Plus, and I don't plan to get it, so I wouldn't watch it anyway.
It's a great
I mean,
value, $6.99.
I didn't mind the first Toy Story, but I didn't know there were 3 other ones.
And also released just this past week on Disney Plus is The Lion King, the new one that Jon Favreau directed. I probably want to see it again just to see if
It looks beautiful.
So I'm a
God,
yes.
So Lorna and Heather were watching it just today. I gotta tell you, man, the visuals in that movie are incredible. Golly,
It's like watching a documentary.
It
about
really
animals,
is amazing. The way that they what's the warthog Pumbaa?
Yeah.
The hair that they have, oh my God, I'm a definite yes.
Well, I've never seen any Lion King at any stage, so probably not.
Not even the musical?
I've never seen any. I haven't even seen 5 minutes of any Lion King.
You're
I don't know
probably
the
not missing
story. I
much,
don't know
but
the characters.
From a visual standpoint, a technical standpoint, I gotta watch it.
Is it the same story, just adapted to
It
different?
literally is like shot for shot, it seems.
Yeah, they didn't change anything up, really.
Yeah.
So that's your rapid fire. Not a lot. It's January, February. You're going to be a little slow. Some stuff will pick up in March, but right now you're going to get video games, movies, TV, all going to be pretty much slow right now. And Charles, what's happening in the punch your face round?
Yeah, so again, they avoid Super Bowl weekend in MMA.
Makes sense.
And they're one of the few smart ones that are like, no. So UFC 247's next weekend. That's the John Jones, Dominic Reyes pay-per-view. I'm not going to get this one. I'm going to probably check out the review or the results, rather, and I'll have some of that next week. Not enough of an undercard, and I'm not that intrigued by the main. I think John Jones is going to put him on him. I'm not really too intrigued by that. But the neat part that came out this week is Israel Adesanya has called out John Jones and says he's willing to fight him as far as heavyweight because he says that John Jones is kind of running from him. Israel Adesanya actually fights in middleweight, and he's willing to just say whatever basically to
Now,
weight
how many
classes.
pounds less is middleweight than heavyweight?
It's what is it? It would be 185, 190, somewhere in that area, and John Jones can fight light heavy to heavyweight.
Light
So
heavy is
that's
what, 205?
205, 265 for heavy. So
There's a weight limit for heavy?
265, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they have a super heavy, or is it just that's
Just heavy, yeah, 265.
Oh. So
It's intriguing because he's basically saying, like, I want that fight
it's not very
regardless.
inclusive.
John Jones, if he feels left out, he can't fight heavyweight, he's bummed.
No, I'm just other large people can't fight heavyweight. That's
Yeah, 265. You gotta hit
How the hell did that Roy Nelson guy ever get to fight? There's no way he was freaking 265.
That's the way I'm to understand it. I could be wrong. It's entirely possible.
That beard's very light, though.
Doesn't hold a lot of weight to it. The other thing that was neat, too, Dana White went on Jim Rome, one of our favorite shows in this room, BB. I know you know. Dana White says that Kimura Usman is going to fight Jorge Masvidal in July. So I'm super intrigued by this.
Why?
That is, what's that?
Why are you intrigued by
So Kimura Usman's the guy that beat Colby Covington for the belt, and then Jorge Masvidal is the one that beat Diaz for the BMF belt. Two great fighters. This is going to be awesome. I'm definitely intrigued by this fight big time. So, yeah, I'll definitely check that out in July. But it seems pretty neat. So that's what's going on with people punching each other in the face.
Oh,
I have a question.
Yes.
What?
Have they finally got to the point where they're making Jones test throughout the process? Is he on?
They've
like
been the
US
USADA
doping?
rules.
Okay,
It's been USADA rules for a while. But he's BS'd his way. So the one that he got pinched for with the picograms and all that, there's a great Joe Rogan podcast that explains a lot of it.
Okay.
He basically blamed it on bad supplementation, which is what Diaz blames it on, and then also some cocaina is what he was basically saying. Because I guess it's really crazy how accurate those tests are.
Wasn't like Mexican meat or anything like that?
No, not that they said. So I'm not a big John Jones guy. He is by far the best pound-for-pound fighter. I just don't like him. He's not likable.
No.
I don't like his fights, really. I'm not a fan. I can't explain it. I'm just not into him.
I can see that.
Now, interesting side note on Joe Rogan. Props to him. He made Bill Maher interesting, and I listened to that podcast.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you listen to Rob Kearney,
I hate Bill Maher.
gay strongman?
No, I listened to the...
You guys need to watch more Strength Athletes. Why can't I get both of you to be more interested in Strength
I watched the other one with the black guy that joined did embedded
the
with
KKK stuff? Yeah, that's good.
That
too.
one and Bill Maher. I didn't catch the gay strong.
I did see the Strength Athlete in that one. I can't remember the name of it, but the documentary about the plant-based eating.
Yeah, you're talking about the Indian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Strength Athletes. I can't explain it. I do.
Charles is all about Strength Athletes.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
So now we're going to do a little nerd news quickly. Xbox, Microsoft had their yearly earnings. Their one department is losing them the most money is the Xbox division.
Well, that's because...
There's a switch over to the new...
Yeah, so the year that they're in is a console year, a hardware year. Fast forward 2 years from now, it'll be
profit,
yeah. So that... It sounds crazy. It sounds like, but if anyone understands financials of these big companies, you understand why it is.
So the Xbox down a little bit, but probably once the X Series hits, it'll go back up.
Yeah.
Now,
a lot of R&D money goes out for those initial consoles.
This next one, for all you Star Trek nerds out there, I had no idea. William Shatner gets divorced. He has to pay $100 million. He has that much money?
So,
yeah, it's a little shocking.
How long has he been married?
I don't know. It's like
But he had to have gotten. Didn't his one wife
die,
drown or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't have been married more than probably 15, 20 years.
But he's probably in L.A., so he's got those weird California divorce
it's a community property state, but there are ways to contract around that. We deal with that all the time.
You've been lawyers.
No, because a lot of the business I support is in California.
Okay.
And a lot of our franchisees.
I've always heard that divorces in that area.
Well, there is a way to prenup around community property. You would think that someone like William Shatner would have the absolute freaking top people ensuring that his money would. Maybe he's just so rich that he doesn't care.
He's so crazy.
All this money?
He's got Priceline money. He just had a CBS sitcom that went off the air not too long ago.
He's probably got a major cut of the residuals of every Star Trek that's ever gone.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I didn't realize he was worth.
Well, not whatever. We were kind of discussing.
Yeah.
Did you look up Kobe's net worth at the time of his passing? Did you guys got a guess?
No. 30 million.
750 million.
600. BB's closer. Yeah. 30 million, right?
He's worth almost as much as Shaq.
Yeah. 600 mil, dude. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I would imagine that he's been in TV 60 years.
Yeah, I guess TV pays out.
I imagine he's diversified.
The Star Trek movies too. So Wow, it just surprised me. $100 million divorce. I
I'm
was
just
like,
saying
wow,
there's no good reason for someone in his position to get hit that badly.
Oh, he did.
But he's kind of kooky. You know what I mean?
That would
like,
be the
that's
explanation.
the problem.
Because
if you
he should have
follow
been
him
able,
at all, he's a little off the beaten path. So he probably just ran out and got married
he should
without doing his due diligence.
That is a risk he should have been able to mitigate.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's William Shatner. Now, Bill, you familiar with MGM?
I've heard it. Yes.
Not the casino.
Goldwyn Mayer. Yes.
But I'm talking about their movie studio division and their TV division.
Well, I
So,
mean,
like, I think of James Bond
they were at
movies.
one point the predominant movie company in the world, weren't they?
What are some of their other bigger IPs besides the James Bond ones? You got any?
I do love Bond.
Jeez, I forgot now.
Just James Bond is the biggest one I can think of.
That's big
They're
enough.
the biggest hands down.
Have they always had Bond?
Yeah, for a long time.
But they have TV too, which you wouldn't think, and it's in that article. But so Netflix and Apple are in a bidding war to go after MGM's backlog.
I wonder which, at this point, not whatever. I know Apple has Apple hardware behind it, but I bet you Netflix has similar kind of cabbage. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's a big disparity on who can come out with the most amount. But then again, how much is that catalog worth? I don't know what's in that.
Well,
then again,
And this is just their TV.
they were
division?
saying close to $10 billion in that article.
$10 billion.
Well, what kind of?
I'm blown away by what is
titles are-
big on some of this stuff, like Friends being huge and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, but I mean,
it just goes to show you my disconnect sometimes of
But
like
Friends-
people love The Office, and I'm like, I watched it 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, so
Friends is one of the biggest winners of the whole syndication game.
Yeah.
I know.
I
It's
mean,
just it's one
talking
of those
about people
things
that are probably ridiculously rich off residuals.
Well,
from the whole
Seinfeld
show.
too. Seinfeld's just sold
Yeah.
pretty big too. Him and Larry David made a good chunk of
Well,
change
didn't you
off
say
that.
though that the kids now are going back and watching shows like Friends?
Friends
and
is huge,
Yeah,
according to Heather, with all of her
Yeah.
students.
don't
The
do
Office
that.
too. Office pretty big with them.
I never really got The Office.
Oh, it's a fantastic show.
So
I
yeah,
never
But
saw
again,
the-
I watched it the first
I never
time.
saw the OG one either. but-
Oh, yeah.
which
Very
I
good
imagine
show.
is probably funnier.
They're both great. They're both great.
so
I looked this up. Okay, so you're about to talk about this Baby Yoda.
Bill,
life-size-
click that bottom link. We got to see it just so we know.
And yeah,
This is a life-size Baby Yoda coming out. Scroll down a
it
little
looks
bit, Bill.
pretty amazing.
There it is. This is a toy that Charles. I had to put it on here because I wondered if Charles was
If
going to
you
buy
cut
it.
that price in half, I'd have gave you $100.50 for that, or $175.
Are you serious?
I would have, dude. 11 inches. But
But that's
that
pretty movie
amazing
accurate,
to me,
though, isn't it?
huh?
That's pretty
Dude, it
movie
looks
accurate.
amazing.
So,
So I-
file that away for the next time Charles ever makes a crack about what someone pays for something. Like, you were going to pay $150 for an 11-inch Baby Yoda.
He's not alone. Sideshow Collectibles, they're renowned
Sold
to making
out,
a lot of this
right?
stuff.
Crashed the
Also, yeah, the site crashed when they announced this. That's how many nerds went running to. I think all the pre-orders are gone
Look
right now.
how
This-
amazing it looks. It looks like a cut from the show.
This just in. You Star Wars nerds are fucking certifiable. What is wrong with
He
you?
wants it.
What
not
the
me.
hell is wrong with you people?
I don't know.
No, I know what people will spend on this stuff, and you're all idiots.
$350 is crazy. I mean, I spent $20, but
I got my pre-order for my plushie.
That is
how
worth.
much is the plushie?
I paid $35 for the plushie.
That's at least not obscene.
Yeah,
But,
That's
well, I
BB.
mean, I don't know what's worse. You know, $300 for a freaking Baby Yoda doll, or you scouring the entire Midwest for a freaking $7 Boba Fett figure that you could have just went to the comic book store and spent $15-20 on.
it was all principle.
You
Bill.
spent more than that in gas.
For the record, Breck drove most of the time.
Oh, who's that?
Someone.
Yeah, some guy we used to
I
know.
vaguely remember that name, but it kind of escapes me. I can't place it.
So you did look at this pre-show.
Oh my
and
god,
saw-
my heart went pitter patter when I saw this. This is
I mean,
amazing.
that's very, very.
Dude, that's an
realistic.
amazing. Click on some of them arrows. Click through some of that.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
scroll through.
There's an arrow above it. Yeah.
Oh my god, look at him! If they had him
Look at them little jammies.
holding that little bone broth thing, he's 16 and a half inches tall. He's taller
He
than-
comes with the little ball that he took off at the off of a Jenga.
I'm in love with him.
Does the apple come with it?
No apple.
That's for size reference, BV. Come on.
duh.
I'm sorry, I'm not figure.
He's got the
Dude,
ball.
oh,
His ball's in his hand.
That is awesome.
He's holding balls in his hand.
So if anyone wants to know what we're looking at right now, Sideshow Collectibles, they make some great
Sideshow collectibles are top notch, but they cost.
Look at the realistic blemishes.
Yeah,
They
and the
cost
pube hair
a
on his head.
fortune, man.
Yeah.
Sideshow ain't no joke.
They make some statues and collectibles.
If he had that bone broth cup, I might have put my credit card down. I swear to God. You know, he's holding that little cup. Oh my God, my heart just dies every time I see it.
I mean, if I won the lotto, I'd buy a ton of Sideshow shit just to have it. Because I have money to piss away. But right now,
I mean, if you got the money, do what you got to do.
But if you don't have the money, it's a little
each their own. I
ridiculous.
mean,
No, I only had to take some money out of Lorna's college account to buy that.
yeah, he just traded a couple gold
mean,
bars. He's good.
if you raise her right, she'll get a scholarship anyway.
So there you go.
She's got AP mom. She should be fine.
Charles is going to buy a $350 Baby Yoda. Bill's driving his new Lincoln, and I got a way to track Holly. So we're all happy. But that's going to wrap us up for this week. We'd like to thank Mr. Vicious.
Yeah.
Straight from Chicago.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm the guest here today. I'm in the guest
I'm
spot.
not thanking Charles for anything. Make sure you give a thumbs up and a like to BV's new ride on social media.
Yeah, everybody take a look at my car and,
What are you worried about? They're going to steal
I'm
your
not
car?
worried
You don't
about
even live here.
I'm not worried about anything. It's tacky.
He called you gauche.
Why is it tacky? It's a nice car.
Okay, does that mean I have to?
You didn't brag about it.
Here's the thing. When you much like when I listen to like a show or something like that, I just want to see what we're talking about for reference. Okay. So it would be nice if someone who happened to tune in to talk about your Lincoln Continental, your new car.
Yeah, like last week.
If someone had key reference, that's all.
Yeah, like last week when we were talking about the markers that Scott hated, I put up a picture that I did with the markers.
Yeah,
That's all
I just don't want to be one of those. Look at how awesome my car is.
No one's saying you're puffing your chest out.
Okay.
It's more for me of like a reference of like here,
if people want to look at it.
Yeah, I just want all of you to know that I make a lot more money than the rest of you.
That wasn't the case. But.
And quite frankly, like when people tune into like the YouTube and see how sexy you are and see how sexy the voice is,
they're all about it. So speaking of which, you can catch our show on YouTube.
Bitches.
Or you can catch our show on YouTube or on Google Play, Apple iTunes, or Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are. You can also visit Fat Guy's Little podcast.com.
Steve always rubs his forehead at this point. Like he's got to think.
I got to think. What do we got going for next week?
It's been
Charles?
like a year and a half. You still don't remember the name of the podcast.
I know. Next week
it has been way too long that we've been doing.
Yeah, that is true. Well, we get hot boxed at this point because it's so hot.
I'm impressed though. I thought that this would be like a Charles Fad thing where you'd be into it for about 2 or 3 months and then it would just kind of.
That's every other hobby he has. Yeah, not this one.
Have you given up bowling yet?
I haven't even got my ball back. Speaking of which, I had Heather.
He is ballless.
I had Heather hit up Bob to see if it was ready, and he hasn't.
You're relying on Bob.
Yeah,
it's been like a month.
Is Bob typically reliable?
Well, the guy said he would call me, and I never got a call. So
that's weird.
My ball is in limbo.
It's not Bob. It's someone Bob vouched for.
Yeah, I don't know. He seemed very knowledgeable.
Well, there you go.
So anyway, back to my
and we'll give an update next week on Charles's balls.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on next week. We got anything going on
XFL. We got XFL coming up. We're going to talk about that. We got the new movies we're going to talk about with Harriet.
And if Charles gets rush shipping, you may be able to see the life-size Yoda that he will break down and pay for.
He doesn't ship until October 2020.
October
2020.
You know some of those. Well, that one.
Yes.
Well,
mine's supposed to come in. My plushie comes in May.
Well, if you're looking to justify this, I mean, you can amortize that out over like the next 9 months, and it would seem a lot. It would only be like for pennies a day.
Yeah,
$100 You can have your own life size.
I'm in love with that little Baby Yoda, though. I can't get enough of that shit.
All right, Bill does not approve. Instead of another dog, get a Baby Yoda.
Do what you got to do. I mean.
Hey, the Baby Yoda's going to be cheaper than getting a dog.
He makes the money.
That is true. So until next week, this is Steve.
Charles.
Check you next time.